Insiders, and man, are we excited to be here today.
It's a party, baby!
Are you ready for Saturday night at the Insiders? It's Saturday night, and as one legend once said, Saturday night's all right for fighting. We're not going to do any fighting here. Well, maybe we will. Maybe we will, a little bit. Anyway, welcome to Saturday Night with the Insiders, guys. Glad to have you with us. As always, it seems like we say this every single week, and it always ends up coming true. There are no light weeks in wrestling. Let's just out and out face it. There are no light weeks in wrestling, Jeff.
None. Like they give 0 F's about our runtime of our show, and that's fine because we're here. We're here to talk about wrestling, so why not?
Man, oh man, it's just even after all the shows are done for the week, you think you saw it all, and the news just keeps rolling in, and that is what happened this past week, and we have got a ton to talk about. But before we do some housekeeping things, let's just talk about what we got coming up. So after tonight, of course, on Sunday, Nothing Monday, we've got Abby's Window. As you can see up there on the screen is our schedule for the week. So Jody will be back, hopefully. Now, I know Jody's in the hospital, so please may everybody wish her well. I know she's having some issues. She's been in the hospital now for a little bit. So, of course, we wish her the best. Also, I'd be remiss being an 80s guy if I did not say a farewell and a rest in peace to Miss Tawny Kitaen. She passed away today at the young age of 59. Tawny, of course, is famous for anybody who knows 80s metal and 80s rock. She was in a lot of music videos. The most famous one would be the one for Whitesnake, but she unfortunately has passed away today. So Tawny Kitaen, rest in peace, and our thoughts and prayers go out to her family as well. And then, yes, so Abby's, of course, is Monday. Join us at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that. Then we will be off on Tuesday, off on Wednesday, and we will be back on Thursday with a go-home show for Impact Wrestling. So that will be the go-home show for Under Siege, so that is not to be missed. Thursday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will have Impact Wrestling Watch-Along. After that, we will have, appropriately enough, After the Impact. We will talk about the show, what happened, and, of course, leading to Under Siege. And speaking of which, we will be here for Under Siege this coming Saturday. More than likely a 7:30 start time. That's usually where they start, is 8 o'clock. So we will be here for Under Siege for the Watch-Along for that. So join us for that. And then Sunday is Backlash. WrestleMania Backlash is next Sunday, sorry. So all of your WWE shows this week will be go-home shows as well. And we think maybe big changes are coming after that. We will see, but that's kind of what I get the feeling about anyway. We might discuss that a little bit as well. So that is our schedule. Jam-packed week, of course, 2 pay-per-views next weekend. So lots to do, lots to talk about. So we're going to get right into it after we welcome some people in here and say hello. Wes is here. Hello. Wes is doing Tazzy's old line. It's an Insiders party, baby. It is. Nathan, hello. Let's see. Will Jack's Effect is here. Hello to you. Hello, Gust. Cheese Whiz 2. Hello to you. Big Dan. Is everyone ready for the return of Heel Joe? You don't need to acknowledge me as that you know what? I can't do Roman's voice. I couldn't even bother to even attempt to try that one. So no, you don't have to do that. Let's see. Chad. Hello, Chad. Daniel. Hello to you. John Cena Gamer 0809, hello to you. Sean Rousset, hello. Azan White, holla holla. Yeah, a little holla holla. That's appropriate for today. Rusty Shackelford is here. Hello, Rusty. How are you? We have, let me see if there's anybody. Legendary Firefly Revolution is here. Hello to you. Get well, Jody. Yes. Sonny Wolf is here. What's up, Sonny? Johnny Bates, Kimberly, of course, he starts with a Kimberly, absolutely. You must have enjoyed Impact last week. Kimber had a big part of it outside of the ring, of course. And Cult of Wyndham 83, what's going on? How are you? Dalton Riley, what's going on? I read her Twitter post today. I guess she's getting better. Yeah, again, we wish her well. I'm not sure. I think she said she's having a pancreas issue, something like that. Yeah. Go home show on my birthday. Give me Kimberly as champion as a present. I think that might be a stretch. All right. Looks like I've got all the introductions. I got all the hellos. Jeff Samuel. What's up, Jeff? And Brandon Barnes. Hello to you. All right. We've got a full slate, so we got to dive right in, man. We have a lot to talk about. And as we always start the show off, let's start off with, yes, I've got some breaking news. Yes, we have some breaking news. So there's a lot going on, guys. There really is. And let's start right off because someone mentioned it in the chat. What did you all think of the throwback SmackDown? Let's get right into that. Yes, there's the fist. I was really excited with that because everybody was saying they don't have the stage set up for it. Well, you don't need to. You just use CGI. You don't need the stage. What do you need a stage for anymore? But as I said on Twitter, we got fisted, and I'm very happy about that. Not many times you could say that, can you? But yes, so that was pretty awesome. We got that. We got Teddy Long, which was awesome. We got and I just saw it. Someone shared it on Twitter. An impersonation by Pat McAfee of Vince McMahon getting out of the limo, which was priceless. Loved it. Loved the old throwback jacket that he wore. Oh my goodness. It was just, they showed some highlights from older SmackDown, stuff like that. And it was good stuff. I enjoyed it. I always like those kind of things. And here now I come to find out the reason why they did it was because they're having a throwback NASCAR thing on Fox. So Fox kind of wanted, I guess, to get everything all together and kind of jive everything with each other. And that's why they did the show. But we enjoyed it. And of course, Jeff, we saw the return of Jimmy Uso. So we were kind of all wondering when that was going to happen. We kind of knew he was, he wasn't injured anymore and he could come back at any time. And Jimmy made his way in. Now, it kind of looked very familiar to when Jey Uso and Roman kind of got into it as well, right? We kind of saw him come out and say, telling his brother that, you're just following him, you're doing his dirty work and stuff like that. And it kind of seemed we were going to go in the same direction until the very end when Jimmy ran in and went to help his brother and Roman. So we'll kind of have to see how that develops, but it certainly looks to us, or to me anyway, and I'm sure to Jeff too, as if we're getting a stable forming, Jeff. And where they go with this, who knows? Maybe they'll add more pieces along the way, but it looks as if he's going to have the brothers with him. And man, that makes for trouble for a lot of other wrestlers.
That's a lot of trouble, especially if those three are on the same accord. Hey, C Wrestling. It's scary, but honestly, I mean, I was just so happy to see the fist. So happy,
It was great.
It was great, and it was just one of those things where it's like, you feel nostalgic, and you see Teddy Long, and you see the retro logos and all that stuff, the graphics, and it's just like, man, this is pretty freaking awesome.
The commercials, we got a hoe and an ice cream bar.
I love it, man. I love it. I'm going to say something, though, about another guy on this show. Freaking Cesaro.
Oh, man.
Cesaro right now, and we talked about this. Whoever is going to go up against Roman has to look a certain way. They cannot look weak at all. Cesaro definitely didn't look weak at all last night. Think about this. 6 months ago, if anyone had said Cesaro's going to have a championship opportunity and it's going to be for the Universal Championship, most people probably would have looked at you like you were foolish. But what they've done with Cesaro has been absolutely amazing. Think about Seth Rollins and where he fits, in the game right now as one of the best. And Cesaro has 2 wins over him. WrestleMania and then one last night. And he's beaten him up some other times before. So, he's got an impressive streak going against Seth Rollins. And that only makes him look stronger. And the ending of last night's show, fantastic, because what you do is that sets Cesaro up to look like an absolutely unstoppable force. And if he can go in there and kick the butts of all 3 of those guys, it makes you think in your mind, even though, some people may be like, well, Roman is Vince's boy. I get it. But forget that you know that for a second and just go with the fact of how Cesaro looked at the end of last night when that episode went off. And I've got to give them kudos. Maybe, a show on Monday nights could take some pointers from how they're booking people on SmackDown and how they're doing different storylines. So,
yeah, look, we have always said, Jeff and I both talked about this, Cesaro has always been a favorite of mine. He's a typical company guy, and look, people point out that, and I heard Tommy Dreamer talking about this today. Cesaro can speak so many languages that, they were saying you could literally strap a belt to this guy and have him be a spokesperson for not just the United States, but many, many countries. He can go on a tour with that WWE belt, that title, take that around the world because of the talent that he's got. And now, listen, I know all of you guys are going to say, well, he's not beating Roman. You might be right. But here's the thing that they could do now, right? So maybe he won't beat Roman, but maybe then he gets into a production with maybe Jimmy Uso, with Jey Uso for a little bit. And then you kind of go down the road a little bit and you get to draft time. And then he gets sent to, let's say they send him to Raw. And they're going to be like, okay, you may not, we're not going to have you take the belt off of Roman, but we're going to have you go to Raw now. And let's say Bobby's still the champion. Could you imagine a program with Cesaro and Bobby Lashley? And that's maybe where you see him take off and you see him maybe get that belt from Raw. I think it's great. I think this guy's paid his dues. He's done everything that they have asked him to do. And yeah, like Jeff said, if you would have told me, 6 months ago saying we're going to be talking about Cesaro in a main event, on this pay-per-view, and this is it, guys, this is his first singles title shot. Think about that. First. That's crazy. Really, really crazy. But I'm very happy for him. The other thing I took from that too, and Randy Sam said that just now, you got Seth Rollins in this too. If you guys paid attention, there was a teaser, and that little teaser that we got, the tension between Seth and Roman Reigns. Now they kind of had a little, but then Seth kind of said at the very end, hey, I'm Seth Rollins. You're not going to push me around. And so that's something to store in your memory banks. Just a little thing there that you might see. Now, maybe it'll be a Seth face turn. Maybe not. Maybe they'll keep him as a tweener. But you can see that this is probably going to be something big that's going to be leading down the road to the battle of the ex-Shield members with Seth and Roman Reigns, which that's going to be huge as well. So, yeah, man, look, it is so clear that SmackDown is just way up here and Raw is just way down here. It's almost just like 2 different shows. It really is. A lot of cohesion. Now, the main event last night was kind of goofy. Those big tag team matches kind of are, but you still got some stuff going on there. You had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and who could ever say anything about those guys? So they're still, but look, I think they're headed in the right direction. You had a good promo with Bayley and Bianca Belair. Bayley coming out and beating her up. So SmackDown is just a far superior show. And it just is right now. But it was really cool to see Jimmy come back. It's cool to see what direction that they're going in with this. And man, Roman, was he built to play that role? He really just, what took them so long to recognize that? Because Whew, man. He is just built to play this role. Built to play. And you're hearing it now. The crowd in the Thunderdome with the "you suck" chants every time he opens his mouth. How about him laughing? I want to know, Jeff, if he cracked up laughing on his own when Paul Heyman started going ding, ding, and you just saw him, and he's trying to keep, and it was like it reminded me of a moment of Saturday Night Live when somebody makes a real funny joke and the other people that are out there are like, and they're trying to hold back, and Roman just started giggling. But even the way he did that, kind of even like he didn't break character. He still did it as if, yeah, this is funny, but I'm not going to make it look like it, Yeah, it's really a great storyline. It really is. And I got to say, and even though admittedly I have never been a big Roman fan, what he's doing is tremendous. What Cesaro's doing is tremendous. And the whole thing with Roman and the brothers is going to be tremendous as well. And we'll see where this goes. But man, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I love the throwback SmackDown. I love whenever they do throwback stuff. I was kind of hoping maybe they'd have some people there, some legends, but they kind of saved that for Legends Night. And with COVID and stuff like that, you have to kind of watch it. There's, a lot of people getting into places from other areas of the United States, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely.
All right, so that is, and here is some more news. And again, this is just coming and coming and coming. And the developing thing in the Daniel Bryan story now is that apparently he is a complete free agent. There is no timetable for him. Like these other wrestlers have to wait. He is an absolute free agent right now. So this is crazy because this is like a free agent in football where they can sign with anyone. So there's probably people in boardrooms right now that are probably going over paperwork, going over money, calling him on the phone. This is huge. This is really huge because the ramifications of this, and everybody's thinking it's WWE and AEW. There may be other players involved here. Don't forget about Ring of Honor and don't forget about Impact. They're going to make bids on this dude too. There is no question about it. So this is going to be up to Daniel Bryan and what he wants to do. If somebody comes, if WWE says to him, well, we're going to give you the same amount of money, but we're going to lower your appearances. And we don't, we're going to say maybe like 20 appearances or something for you. And that's going to be it. If he wants to be more involved and somebody else comes along and gives him the same or maybe a little bit more money, but you will let him wrestle a little more, man, oh man, this is really tough. And I'll tell you, Jeff, if he ends up somewhere else, it's a blow to WWE. It really is. And this could be, I know Christian was a big name. Daniel Bryan's been a big part of WWE for a long time now. And if he ends up on a competitor, especially one that, if he ends up on a show that's on Wednesday night, that's a big blow to WWE, man. It really is. And I think it's really going to hurt. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I don't know, Jeff. Do you think he really leaves? Do you think he leaves, or do you think that this is kind of just a play and that WWE is eventually just going to say, "Hey, we're just going to give him what he wants"?
That's an interesting question. I think that it's a possibility that he ends up back in WWE. I think that's probably, if you had to give me odds right now, I'd say my odds would be that he's going to return to WWE. Because I feel like with what they've done with Brock Lesnar and other people in the past, they can make a schedule that's favorable to what he wants to do. Because I think at this point, he probably wants to be there more for his family than anything else. And, the story not too long ago was about him kind of feeling disconnected from the crowd at WrestleMania 37. But just for the sake of fantasy booking, I'm just going to throw this out there. What if Daniel Bryan ends up in Impact Wrestling? And I throw that out there because he can have some matches with some folks that will be absolutely insane. Who would sign up for Daniel Bryan and ELP? I know I would. Who would sign up for a little bit of crossover Daniel Bryan could be in AEW, and you can name whoever you want to on the Wednesday night show. Like whoever you want, that would be a huge crossover. Jeff Samuel, I gotta give him some love because he threw this out there. MLW, we know, is going to have a working relationship with NXT. How cool would it be for Daniel Bryan to go to MLW, give them a lot more credibility, and come over and do some work, and we get Daniel Bryan and Finn Balor, or different matches like that. I mean, I feel like there are a couple places that he could go. Jason Michaels saying that he should face Jonathan Gresham. Yes, that should happen like yesterday. I need that matchup to happen soon because those two that would be match of the year quality. That would be match of the year quality. Yeah, I know. I had a slip of the tongue. I think I said the other company, probably. But
oh, that's okay. What are we gonna do?
But I would just love to see him in Jonathan Gresham. But yeah, I mean,
Jeff, let me put this one out there for you. Could you imagine, right? Let's say that with this whole Kenny thing, that Impact doesn't have a genuine plan as to who they want to get that belt off of him yet. Could you imagine if they signed him as the ultimate underdog and then he comes out and does it again for Impact Wrestling and gets their title back off of Kenny Omega? Could you imagine? I mean, he did this before. This worked to this is one of the biggest things that fans have seen. Could you imagine if you get advertised for an Impact pay-per-view, Daniel, and I know it's, again, we're fantasy booking and, it may not ever see the light of day, but could you imagine if he ended up going and wrestling Kenny Omega and getting that belt back for Impact Wrestling from Kenny Omega? That's crazy. Yeah. Look, whoever gets him, if Daniel is, and look, NXT could be a player. Like Jeff was talking about MLW, but maybe that, Triple H comes and talks to him, and maybe Triple H throws him, and says, hey, come on down here. I'll get, you can take on Adam Cole. We saw that, remember, when they came back from Saudi Arabia and the NXT guys were over there. We saw that already. You could take, him and Karrion Kross, him and, there's a whole list of people he can do and have matches with down there that would be amazing. So, yeah, I mean, NXT could be a certain possibility as well, but let's wait and see. But this is certainly a developing story, and we're going to have to keep an eye on this because this is going to be really, really interesting. And this could be something that really sways, the wrestling industry as a whole going forward. So this is big. So let's keep an eye on this and see where this goes. But Big Dan says Daniel Bryan is in the proverbial catbird seat right now. He has major league leverage. He does. He's holding all the cards. And when you hold the cards in a negotiation, it's like a football player holding their cards because they know that you can't be without them. Like a quarterback maybe on a football team that knows they're going to give me whatever I want or I'm going to walk. And I'm going to go to somewhere else where I'm going to do damage to them. Yeah. So I absolutely agree. Jason Michael says he could take over creative for NXT or be a GM. Yeah, he's got options for that kind of stuff too. He could be involved in creative. The whole thing here is we don't know how much he wants to still wrestle. And that's going to be the key. He did say he came out of the Royal Rumble, feeling a little bit, kind of, I don't know if I necessarily belong here anymore, was kind of the comments he made. So we don't know how much he wants to wrestle, and that's going to play into it as well. So what's up, Conrad? Everything Pro Wrestling is here. No worries, man. All right. So that's the Daniel Bryan stuff. Let's move on to our next topic.
And last point I'm going to throw in about Daniel while I'm flipping this over is that Impact has a taping schedule, which would be favorable, I believe, depending on how much he wants to wrestle.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very true, because Impact does taping. So he can go, he can tape a whole bunch of shows like they kind of do, and then he can be off and go home. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. we heard about this a little bit last week. I think one of you guys brought this up in our chat at one point. Andrade makes a challenge in Triple A to Kenny Omega. So are we going to see this happen? Andrade, of course, recently leaving WWE. And, of course, look at this. Lo and behold, he's right out there in another promotion, and he's going to get a shot at a guy who took their title away. And, boy, oh, boy, man, talk about going from, you weren't being shown, you weren't being given a lot of good matches, and now you are right into the fire with the guy who is collecting people's titles. That's a pretty good step for him. And this is pretty big news for Andrade. And I don't know, do you think he has a shot at taking that back off of Kenny already, Jeff? I mean, maybe, however long this story plays out, if he's going to start to lose belts, I would imagine it'll be he'll kind of lose them maybe in reverse order, where he'll start to lose some of the belts that he took early on, and then, maybe lose the Impact title. And then it'll come down to where he just has that AEW title left until they build up someone who they want to come and take that off of him. So it kind of makes sense. Do you think Andrade comes right into the fire and takes that belt away from Kenny?
I mean, I think it's very possible. I mean, this is definitely going to happen at Triple Mania, I believe. I don't know if it's been confirmed, but I believe it's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, this is huge for Andrade, and I think you'll be able to tell what Andrade is going to do by what happens in this match. I think it is very, very likely that Andrade wins this match, because I think Kenny's focus is going to be different throughout the summer.
Yeah,
I think that the focus is going to be on that New Japan IWGP title. I think there are going to be some different things on the horizon for Kenny in the summer. So I could see Andrade taking that. And honestly, I would not be surprised if Kenny turned up on an episode of NWA Power.
And take that 10 pounds of gold away from Nick Aldis.
Yeah.
It's possible. It's possible, because remember, they're in a situation now where, they're kind of just starting to try to come back and get eyes on their product too. So if they make a call and they kind of discuss things and say, hey, what better way to get some eyes on NWA Power than to have Kenny Omega make a couple stops there along the way? We saw what happened when Marty Scurll showed up there. I mean, that was pretty big. So I totally agree. Certainly could. Let's see. Ricky Glow. Hey, Joe and Jeff, are you're right about Bryan to Impact. I don't want Impact to make the mistake signing WWE stars like TNA again. They got to be careful, but I love it. Kick his ass, Andrade, says Delaney. Oh, man, this is gray area booking. Andrade is a hot name, but the cleaner has a lot of momentum. And remember, Kenneth does have his Bullet Club enforcers on hand. Maybe Andrade wins on a schoolboy pin. I think if it's going to happen, see, the way I look at it this way, and, Jeff kind of alluded to it too, it's a little bit of a smaller promotion, and it's not as seen, I guess the word might be, as some other major promotions are. Right, yeah. So I think the match would certainly bring eyes there. And then if they do it and they give Andrade the title, then he could stay there for a while and, of course, be, the headliner of their event. So I don't know. I think it could happen. And I think if he does drop one of those, I think it's going to be that belt. So we'll see. All right. This was good news. We were wondering about this. Yeah, big sigh of relief. We were wondering what was going to happen, but Jordan Grace has re-signed with Impact. That's a big win for Impact. It really is. It's a big win for Impact, and it's a big win for their women's division. And I saw Deonna Purrazzo tweet out and say, fight forever, or let's fight forever. And she directed it at Jordan. So this is a big, big signing for them. They have a long list of people who are close to being done with contracts. So they're going to lose some of them. You already know that they lost Taya Valkyrie. Of course, they lost MSK. So, they're kind of getting picked out a little bit, and I'm sure they will. There may be others, but this is big, and I'm really glad that she stayed. She's a really big name in their women's division, and there's great things ahead for her. and maybe we see her, maybe she's the one. If it's not Taylor Wilde, maybe she's the one who takes that belt off of Jordan Grace. Off of Jordan Grace, off of Deanna. But yeah, so I'm thrilled with this. I'm glad she chose to stay in Impact. Happy she's staying there, and happy we are going to get to see her now going forward. And maybe she'll start with, she's got the tag team titles now. So maybe she, defends those a little bit, and then maybe she'll go back to singles action. But I'm glad, and I'm sure you are too, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, she could have gone elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people were talking about NXT, and some people thought there was an outside chance that she could end up on Wednesdays. She was, wherever she went, she was going to make the division better. However, staying in Impact makes her top tier.
Yep.
She's a top tier talent regardless, but I feel like going somewhere else, she would have been lost in the shuffle, and it would have had nothing to do with her talent or ability.
Yep.
Everything to do with what people already have going on in their promotions. So this, just like, I almost feel like this is as big, if not bigger, than the Good Brothers choosing to sign with Impact. That's the significance that this re-signing has, because and it didn't say she was just signing for a 1-year extension. It said a multi-year deal. So that kind of tells you how she views Impact. Does this translate to other people, i.e. Moose? Does Moose now stay there? Good Lord, I hope so.
Yeah.
Because, and a lot of people are saying, well, maybe he'll end up on Wednesdays. And some people say, well, he'd be really good in NXT. That's all great, but there are so many things you can do with him if he stays in Impact. Like him and Kenny, I need to see that, a one-on-one. I got to see that. But let's say Joe ends up in one of those places. Do you not want to see Joe and Moose go at it? Do you want to see some of the matchups that he could have if we do have more of a crossover with New Japan? Don't you want to see some of that? I mean, could you imagine Moose and Okada?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's just so many things that that you could do with Moose if he returns to Impact. But yeah, hopefully this starts a domino effect of people returning to Impact, because I really think this is a make or break, maybe 3 months for Impact. If they can re-sign some people that, otherwise we think they're going to lose, then this only catapults them into that conversation of, are they the top company going right now? Are they second best? They're definitely in the top 3, but that would go a long way for them.
Yeah. And you got to think about this too, guys. We talk about the whole thing with Kenny being, is this really Bennett? We're going to talk about this later too. We always segue into other segments. We'll talk about this a little bit too. And this has been part of our chat with Impact, and this has been part of what everybody's talked about with Impact. How is this benefiting Impact? Well, one of the ways it could be benefiting, and this might be one of the most basis things that you might think of, but it could be benefiting them in money.
Mm-hmm.
And they may need some of that right now. If they want to sign these guys, you have to have money. So that makes or breaks a company sometimes. If you can't make money, then, and that pay-per-view that we had with Kenny was one of their biggest money-making pay-per-views in a long time. So they're going to get some money, and now they'll have money to offer. If you don't have money to offer, you can't pay people. And then that is, people, listen, ultimately these guys have to make a living. And if you're not going to be able to, bust open the checkbook and pay these guys similarly to what they can get going elsewhere, you're going to lose them. It's that simple. So when you ask what Kenny's doing for them, well, maybe he's just getting them a way to sign some of these guys back, which, okay, I'm cool with that. Are we not allowed to say what you're saying now? Bliss fan, to answer your question, we're just being careful. Plain and simple. Yep. It's been all over. It's been all over. Right. And so we're not going to, there's no reason to poke the bear. So it is just what it is. Until everybody gets this all figured out, and I'm sure they will. That we're just gonna play on the side of caution with that. So that answers your question. Hello, Jesse Calynn. How are you? I hope Moose shows up at Double or Nothing and takes the AEW. See, there you go. I just did. And announces after the match that he signed with them. What's Swan's contract status? No idea. I don't know, Steve.
Actually, I just read it. His contract goes through May 2021.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. Well, maybe we saw the last of Rich Swann in Impact as well. I mean, there's another candidate where he could easily fit in NXT or Wednesday nights. So yeah. This is why you have to support your favorite company. Yeah, that's a great point, Conrad. Yeah. I mean, look, guys, it's a great sport. We all love it. But now that COVID has changed things, they're not out there touring all the time. They're not out there getting those, even though maybe they're not filling arenas, but when they do house shows, they make money, right? They make merch money. They make ticket sales. They're not out doing that. So they've got to be getting money in other places. And that's why maybe, people say, well, man, these pay-per-views are expensive. Well, they got to make money. That's the bottom line. They're businesses, and they got to make money, and they got to pay their talent. So if anyone was to take the NXT title from Cross, Moose would be a solid pick in the match. It would be absolute fire, Big Dan said. Yeah, that'd be a really good match. I agree. Chad, yes, Jordan just re-signed with Impact, as you can see up on our screen. So, yes, we just announced that. All right. Moving on.
Another reported signing, Killer Kelly, who was formerly in NXT, reportedly has signed with Impact as well.
I don't know a whole lot about her because I wasn't a big NXT watcher kind of before last year and this year. So I don't know much about her. But I'm seeing here she lost to Dakota Kai. It was in NXT UK. She was a big part of the independent circuits and indie wrestlers. So, look, big names like this, they're bringing people on. They're fortifying. We're probably going to see them bring maybe a free agent or two from WWE that left there. We'll see who they get. This is all good for them. This is all good for Impact. They're filling spots. They lost Ty Valkyrie, so they kind of had to fill the spot. And when these other women leave, Taylor Wilde now has come back, so they filled the spots. Conrad said that's a great pickup. Jeff, I'm going to let you go. You probably know more about her than I do.
This is huge. And a lot of people, when Impact was doing the Knockouts tag team tournament, she was there with Renee. And they were in there. They got eliminated, but they had a great match. And she's done stuff all over the place. Absolutely great. Yep, that's right, Design. Absolutely great in-ring talent. I'm surprised that she didn't get signed to the other company, honestly, because she's that talented. And this is huge. This just goes to show the depth and the talent of the Knockouts division in Impact. And quite honestly, I feel like there may be one or two very talented women that possibly got released not long ago away from being the best women's division in wrestling without a question. Like, I think it's going to be them in NXT, and then everybody else is fighting for the rest of it. That's where I feel like this is going to end up. I mean, it was already talented, but I mean, they keep, they re-signed Jordan, they signed Killer Kelly. Do they re-sign Rosemary like Chad is asking here?
Yeah, let's hope.
Do they add Chelsea Green? Do they add the Iconics? I cannot wait to see what the future holds. And honestly, I want to see what I really want to see out of this division is I want to see Deonna put on alert, and I want to see her basically having to, save her hide every single week. I'd love to see her do something like Eddie Edwards did when he won the title and do like an open challenge every week, that kind of thing, because you have the talent now to put on some spectacular matches that don't overlap, and you don't have to worry about rematches all the time like you see in other places. Like it's, this could be something that is just, it propels this knockouts division to the top.
Isn't it funny how things change over time? Like last year, we were always saying that Impact's women's division was great. Same with NXT, but isn't it funny how WWE's has kind of fallen? Like, I love Bianca Belair. I really do. But now that Becky's still not back in the picture, we know that Ronda's not coming back now because of the pregnancy. Charlotte's been kind of come and gone. So, and now you're getting dissension there. You're starting to hear stuff. Carmella's coming out and speaking out about how she doesn't like what's going on in the women's division. Mickie James with all the comments about the things about her and the whole thing with Eva Marie. Mickie James, came out kind of sounding like she wasn't very happy that they brought her back. She didn't begrudge her and she didn't say anything nasty, but you could kind of read between the lines thinking that, that they let me go, but now this girl who really doesn't have a whole lot of wrestling experience. Now we don't know. Like I said, she could have been working on a craft and she could have been getting better over the past few months. So we don't know until we see her, but it's kind of funny how the scales have kind of tipped. I look, the more they bring in, like Jeff said, imagine if they sign Chelsea Green, or imagine if they sign the Iconics. I mean, wow. That's a stacked women's division. It really is. And it's just going to get better.
And Joe, last thing I'll say about this as I flip this over. Can you imagine a series between them and the show on Wednesday night? Can you imagine Thunder Rosa and Jordan Grace, or whoever, just and those whoever, just matches between those two companies would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and Conrad mentioned that. They're kind of sharing. Like if that continues, and if it keeps, if they keep, going through that forbidden door, and it ends up being more than just Kenny and the Young Bucks and the Good Brothers. Imagine if they keep crossing over and they have other people going back and forth, and women start to do that too. Yeah, why not? I like the title. I'm calling this. What did I tell you earlier? And I'm so tired I forgot. I'm calling this hemoglobin and giblets.
There you go.
Hemoglobin and giblets match. So we're going to talk about the hemoglobin and giblets match. Look, I enjoyed the show. I watched the whole thing, and I very rarely get a chance to watch it. I'm doing other things on Wednesday nights. I have my other thing that I do, and I don't get to watch it. And you know what? I say to myself, I'm going to tape it, and I'm going to go back and watch it. But by the time I'm done, I end up settling in. I get tired, and most of the time I fall asleep. And then it's one of those things that kind of sits in my DVR, and I don't get a chance to watch it because I have other things going on. So I had a chance to sit and watch it, and you know what? I enjoyed it. And the match that we're talking about, I enjoyed it as well. I thought you saw a lot of really cool things and a lot of great spots. And for, the team that won, and we'll get into this a little bit later too, another segue. But I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the show. And I know there's been a lot of criticism one way or the other. But I sat down and I sat back and I had, I was sitting there and just having a drink and just watching TV. And when I can do that and I can sit there and say, okay, that was fun. I had a good time. I enjoyed myself watching a 2-hour show. Then I'm okay. And yeah, all in all, with the exception of some things that we'll talk about a little bit later, I enjoyed the show.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people that watch us, and I think this is what people respect about me and you. We're fair.
Mm-hmm.
We praise what should be praised, and we, call out what should be called out.
Yep.
And anyone that knows that I have not shied away from criticism of this company. Because, and I haven't shied away from it for WWE either. So you got to give them kudos because it was a really, really strong show.
Yeah.
And, I definitely want to, we're going to get here because I got something to say to some folks, but I think top to bottom, the night was good.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into the ending more in a later segment. So I'll save my thoughts for that because I know that you and I are on different sides of the aisle to go political for a minute.
A little bit.
We're on different sides of the aisle. But yeah, I thought it was a good night. Good action from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can't ask for any more from a wrestling show. You want to be entertained. You want to see good matches. You want to see things evolve. And that's what we saw on Wednesday night.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw some spots taken. The spot that Mr. Allen took was, holy God, that dude, man. I get it. I get it. He's a daredevil at heart. I get it. He loves to, he skydives. He's a skater. He does all that kind of stuff. So I get it. But holy cow. Like, I mean, falling down, look, those are arena stairs, guys. If you've never been to an actual arena, they are made of cement. Strict cement. There's no cushion. There's there's nothing. And he threw himself down a flight of stairs. Now, whether or not you're going to come back and say, well, what the hell is he doing? What is he thinking? That's dangerous. Well, it is. But wow. I mean, and then he's holding on to his arm. And listen, I don't think he was selling anything there. That had to hurt. I don't care who you are. And he's not a big dude. So to fall down a set of concrete stairs, yeah, that was a heck of a spot that he took. So, but yeah, and and they have what 1, 2, 3. They have 3 titles on the line this coming show. So not only are you getting go home shows from Raw and SmackDown, you're getting a go home show from Impact as well. You're getting a 3 title night from these guys too. So again, and we kind of say this a lot. Not too much to complain about when you're a wrestling fan. Not too much to complain about. And while I'm going to, you can nitpick stuff. You can, but the thing is, and I think Conrad's saying it in the chat too, there's something out there for everyone. That's plain and simple. There's something out there for everyone. And the thing is, it's bringing smiles to people's faces. And really, it's entertainment. That's what it's supposed to do. So, all right. Darby Allin's injured. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. I would not doubt it. All right. Let's get to Bully Ray. I talk about Bully Ray a lot because I hear him on Busted Open. And Bully Ray's a character. We all know that. Bully Ray put out this tweet. If I'm management or owners of Impact Wrestling, I'd be effing fuming that their World Heavyweight Championship was being carried out by knocking nobody and not least over the shoulder of Omega. Perception is reality. Bully Ray is firmly on the side of Impact Wrestling in that they are not benefiting one bit from this partnership. He knows that. He acknowledged that they're getting money, yes. But he said, and this is something to think about. And this came from him too, and I'll quote him because he had said, what is going to happen 3-4 months down the road when everybody goes back to their respective shows? What is going to happen when Kenny Omega is no longer on Impact anymore? What is going to happen when they have their own person back? And then Dave LaGreca mentioned Rich Swann. And he said, who has heard anything anything about Rich Swann. Now, Jeff just pointed out his contract is up, which I didn't know. But who has mentioned a word about him? No one. No one. So does Bully Ray have a point? He might. I mean, it's hard to see the long-term benefits from this partnership. Yes, they're benefiting in the short term. They're getting more eyes on their product. But I think what he said as well was, is it going to stay? Are the people who are watching Impact now going to like what they see enough to stay when he's not there? It's a fair point. Yeah. It's a fair point, Jeff.
I mean, here's what I'll say about Impact right now. I think, and we're actually going to talk about this a little later, but I think they definitely got more eyes, especially with that championship match.
Oh, yeah.
The numbers bear that out. But two things that have been mentioned this past week, and I got to shout out C Wrestling because he sent me the DM. Bully is not the only legend in the business that doesn't like this partnership. And spoiler alert, the other guy that mentioned it this past week is actually in the show on Wednesday nights. Mr. Jericho.
Oh, yeah.
Does not like the partnership. Doesn't think it's a good thing. Doesn't think that Impact is on their level. That's all you need to know about what some people think about how this is going. Now, is that just a work? Possible. Could be a work. Could that be, stoking the fire for something later on between the two companies? We shall see. But I get it that Kenny is a heel, he's a jerk, and all this stuff. But I would challenge you, if you're saying, well, this is just work, all that stuff. Let me push back on you and say this. What better way to be a heel and stick it in the face of the other company than to wear that belt on your promotion show?
Yeah.
And flaunt it and say, I have your title here. It's not there on Tuesday. Yeah. On Thursday. I'm wearing it here. You can't touch me. I'm so good that I took your belt from over here and now it's on my show. I'm actually doing you a favor by allowing this to be on TNT. That's how you go from, kind of lukewarm heel heat to nuclear, saying I'm doing you a favor by allowing the Impact Championship to be seen on TNT. This is the most eyes that the Impact World title will ever get because it's on my show. You're welcome. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, that's the kind of stuff that you can do with this, and it makes him that much more hated. Because if you're an Impact diehard, and he says that Wednesday, what's up?
Marley's an Impact diehard, apparently. Yes.
If you're an Impact diehard and he cuts a promo like that on a Wednesday night, you're like, man, I hate that guy, but boy, is that good. That's kind of where I am with that. That's what I want to see. I get it. I get that he's playing the heel and everything, and he looks down. The whole idea of this storyline is him looking down on Impact, in my opinion. He's like, no one there can touch me. Obviously, Of course, I was going to win the championship because I'm Kenny. Okay.
Yep.
So that just my 2 cents there.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. There's a lot of points that Bully makes here. There are, and he's kind of making the points of, and he's kind of going back and forth with Tommy Dreamer. And of course, we know Tommy's got, a vested interest in Impact. And, Tommy's of course, Tommy may know more than he's telling too, because he wouldn't be able to come out and say if he did. But they're all kind of going back and forth about it, and there are a lot of people going back and forth about it. And the people who are diehard Impact fans are going to be the one who are kind of skeptical and thinking, well, we're not getting much out of this. They're not talking about us really on that promotion. In fact, like Bully said, Kenny didn't even wear their title. He didn't even come out with the title. So, but let's wait and see. It's still playing itself out. Let's give it time. Let's see what happens next. So there you go. This one's going to be a big one here. Ooh, yeah. Rest in peace, Macho Man Randy Savage. One of my all-time favorite wrestlers. Love this guy. And so the documentary. Of course, this aired last Sunday night. I couldn't watch it until Monday. And I have liked the two that were before it. I really enjoyed the Roddy Piper one. Again, one of my all-time favorites. Love that one. And I like the Stone Cold Steve Austin one as well. I like seeing backgrounds of wrestlers and hearing about their childhood. And man, oh man, did Randy Savage have a rough childhood. Boy, oh boy, did he. Left home. Apparently, it kind of sounded like he had an abusive dad or an abusive relationship with his parents. Left home, lived on the streets. Came to pass that I guess, there was just other things going on there, but he had a rough time. But then, he got into wrestling, and, you guys can watch the whole thing, but here's the thing. So the first hour or close to it was pretty good. The first hour was pretty good. Now, as I'm starting to watch, and they're kind of getting into the Hogan stuff, and, there literally was no mention of the Mega Powers. None. There was just a little bit of here and there. And then I started to think, well, this is weird. They're not talking about this was a huge thing. And not much mention of that. Then we get to hour number 2. And then you got into the whole thing with Hogan and that idiot Bubba the Love Sponge, who I cannot stand. That guy is just garbage. Then he started, and then it just kind of seemed like the whole thing turned. And they kind of just started bashing him. Like, and I had to go back and watch it again because I'm like, am I not getting this? Like, isn't this supposed to be like something like it was almost opposite of what they did with Roddy? Like they really built him up. They really praised him. And then, we're getting stuff about like the whole last hour is more about Gorgeous George and more about Elizabeth and Lex Luger than it was Macho Man. Like, then they're talking about the rap stuff, and I don't know. It became like a botch thing or a bash thing at the end where it just seemed like they were just bashing the dude. And I'm like, what a shame. Because, this guy he's a legend for a reason. This was one of the biggest names in the business. And, and then they talked about, then he got big and his body mass changed. And, well, what he was probably doing there, oh, man, like, what the hell were they doing? And now everybody's thinking, well, yeah. And, of course, they showed the thing when he left WWE because he wasn't happy with being a commentator, and that's not what he wanted to do. Okay, so what? We're talking about the same thing with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan may be leaving too because he's not doing something that he necessarily wants to do. So what's the big deal? And then they start getting on him about, well, he gained all this body mass and blah, 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 blah. So then you're kind of thinking, well, now what are they saying now? That he was doing steroids? Who wasn't doing steroids in the 80s? Who wasn't doing steroids? A lot of people were. It's just the hard truth of wrestling back then. But, oh, man, dude, like, this just seemed like a bash to me. Like whoever is doing this, and nobody can really say. This is being produced by A&E, but WWE is involved. But boy, oh boy, what a difference between the first two, Jeff. And what a shame. What a shame. This dude, and listen, I'll leave with something funny, and I'll send it over to Jeff. His rap album isn't all that bad if you listen to it. Like, the dude didn't do that bad of a job. And that song that he did about Be a Man, listen to some of the lyrics and tell me he's not wrong. The part about Hogan calling himself Hollywood and his movies all sucked, that's 100% true. And this dude was in Spider-Man. So he did have a right to talk and say some of those things that he said. But man, Jeff, I don't know. It's you hate to see stuff like this because it really, the last hour of this came off like a tabloid to me. It came off like you were reading the tabloid.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it if they took it there and the man was still alive to defend himself and he could present counter arguments or say, yeah, you know what, they're right, but I got my life turned around when I got into my last relationship. And this, and yeah, I had some hard times, but my wife turned me around, that kind of thing. But he's not there to defend himself anymore. And, there are a lot of reasons why I don't care for Bubba the Love Sponge. One is the name, but a lot of it is the other stuff that he's been involved with politically. And I'll leave it there. If you want to know what I'm talking about, there's plenty. You can go look it up. Just type in his name. It's not that hard. And you'll see what I'm talking about. But this to me, and Trex Edie just said it, this to me looked like another opportunity to put Hogan over Macho Man.
Yep.
One final time.
Yep.
One final time. Yep. Hogan had to be the victim and say, oh, me and him got into it and he did this to me and I was just trying to help his wife and blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Had to be the victim. And it's like, one day when they do a documentary about Hogan, I hope people talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly with him. Because there's a lot of ugly. Just because he was telling you as a kid to say your prayers and eat your vitamins doesn't mean that he was the good guy that he tried to portray on a TV screen.
Yep.
So, I hope that people are honest when they do a documentary on him. But yeah, compared to the first two, I mean, obviously they could have gone there with Stone Cold. I mean, my goodness, the dude was hopping in and out of relationships. There were a lot of things that he was doing.
Yep.
So, again, why Macho Man? Is it still the same thing where Vince was really pissed that one day Randy was supposed to show up and then the next day he's on Nitro?
Left. Yep.
Is that, and he didn't give him a courtesy of saying, hey, I'm headed down south to WCW. Is that why this happened again? So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, why they had to do it that way. Like you said, the first hour I thought was amazing. Because there are a lot of things that, if you're not a Macho Man fan, and we actually, I felt pretty good because we actually covered a good bit of this on our episode of Hot Tag.
Yeah.
Talking about his baseball career and everything like that. So, there are a lot of cool things that Randy did in his lifetime. And I just hate the way that they did this to him. And but I will say this though, I'm hyped to watch Booker T's tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I'm really hyped to see that one.
Yeah, I agree. And Conrad said, Bonesaw is ready. Yeah, it's a great part from Spider-Man. Look, man, dig it. I love Randy, man. I do. He's been in some fantastic matches, and and that's what people said. Why was there no focus on the whole Mega Powers exploding thing when that was so big? Why was there not a focus on more of his match with Bret Hart? Why was there not a focus? And they had Jake the Snake there. Jake the Snake was there talking.
Did they even show the match where they briefly showed a clip of Dave fighting him, but I wanted to hear the story of how Jake had to convince Macho Man in the back by letting Damian bite him, and Macho Man seeing how Jake took it, that it wouldn't be that big of a deal for him to get bitten out. And I wanted to know more of that story from the perspective of Jake, if you're going to have him there instead of glossing over it. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I wanted to really get into, and I feel like they just it was just like a hit job, honestly, that second hour.
It really was, and it's a shame. They dropped the ball, no doubt. And, again, yeah, there was so much more they could have showed. And the fact that Jake was there, I mean, they had him talking. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate. It just was not a good episode. And like Jeff said, I mean, if there are politics behind it and they did it because they wanted it to make Hogan look good, I mean, give it up. Stop doing that. Like, really, you want to nitpick something with WWE and we're realistic about this kind of stuff? Stop pretending to save these guys who don't deserve saving. And we know there's a guy in NXT is in the same thing. They protect these guys sometimes, and I don't understand why. I don't get it. If Hogan's not the big enough man to come out and apologize for what he did, people forgive. They just do. There's a lot of people that are out there that come out, pro athletes, whatever, that have done bad things that come out and they apologize. Now, they'll be mad, but in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, people forgive. But if you're not going to say anything, you're not going to acknowledge it, and you're not going to come out and just say, hey, I effed up. I am sorry. That was horrible of me to do. You're not going to do that. Don't protect them. Don't protect them. So, yeah. All right. All right. Well, Jeff, I think we're at everybody's favorite part of the show.
Yeah, so let's just go. We're not going to build it up. We're just going to go ahead and play the bumper and get right into it.
The airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
All right. As you can see, Jeff's getting a mouthful of water to go. And I'm not going to interfere in this one. I might just make a little bit of comments off of what Jeff has to say. Jeff has some grievances that he wants to air. So I'm going to give the floor to Jeff and let him go. So go right ahead, my friend.
My grievance this week is with some wrestling fans, and like I'm trying my best to be decent about this and not curse too much, but I apologize if I do. To show you the level of jackassery that we deal with wrestling fans nowadays, there were people last night that were genuinely pissed that WWE didn't card out the huge fist from the set of the old SmackDown because they saw it in the Firefly Funhouse match. To you, I say, get a life. Because if you're going to find, like Joe said earlier, that we can all nitpick the hell out of everything. But if something is good, just say it's good. And if you don't like WWE, why the hell are you watching it in the first place? Or did you actually watch it? Or did you see people tweet about it and say, oh, well, they put a stupid CGI fist out there. WWE sucks. Like, if you don't like WWE, don't speak about it. You can have your opinions, that's fine. But if you don't like it or if you don't watch it, there's no point in pretending that you watch something that you don't like just to crap on it. And that's what happens all too often. I see people who say they don't watch a particular show, whether it's WWE, whether it's the one on Wednesday nights, and then I proceed to see them crap all over whichever show they don't like. And my question to you is, did you watch it? And I'm not going to share his name, but I had someone tell me, I don't see how you can put up with watching Raw for 3 hours on Monday night. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes it's a labor of love. Like, I'm a wrestling fan. I remember the good old days of Raw. Like, I still have hope, that kind of thing. Well, I haven't watched it in 4 or 5 years. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. Then proceeds to tweet out what segments he didn't like on Raw. It's like, okay. So then I DM'd him back. I was like, I thought you said you didn't watch her. Oh yeah, I didn't watch it. I just saw other people talking about it on the timeline, so I figured I'd chime in too. Then why the hell are you talking? You're saying stuff like you watched it, and you didn't even watch it. It's stupid. You look like a jackass. That's what you look like. You look like a freaking jackass by talking down on something that you don't even watch. The other thing I want to say is this. It's time that as wrestling fans, we stop pretending like it's just time we stop with the virtue signaling and all of that stuff. There's someone that I admire a lot on Twitter, and he is very opinionated, but I respect the hell out of him. And I'm not going to name this person by name because honestly, if you want to find it, it blew up well enough on Twitter where you can go find it. My thing is, just because you like something doesn't mean other people have to like that same thing that you like. And I mean, my thing is, if someone says, you know what, I really, really, really dislike Kenny Omega. I really dislike Kenny Omega. If I'm a Kenny Omega fan, I'm not going to go after that person and say, dude, you suck. I hope you get hit by a train. You're a terrible person, all of this stuff. All because someone has a different opinion than you do. I saw a person that used to come into our streams go after a person because they had something to say about Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss's storyline. Newsflash. A lot of us here really love Bray Wyatt. We love The Fiend. We love the whole storyline. But guess what? It's not for everybody. And that's okay. Joe and I use this example a lot. I will not watch The Real Housewives of fill in the blank of whatever city you want to watch because I think it's hot garbage. I don't disparage other people for liking it, though. You like what you want to like. I don't care. I'm not going to call you an idiot because you like it. And I hope that you're decent enough to where you won't call me an idiot or tell me that I'm a piece of trash or that you hope I get hit by a bus because I don't watch it. Like, at the end of the day, we all love wrestling. I mean, I think that's why we have the amount of people that we have watching a wrestling show on a Saturday night at past 10 o'clock because we all love wrestling. Mm-hmm. But it's wrestling, folks. There's so much shit going on out in the world that matters, that at the end of the day is life and death. And let me tell you what's not life and death. Wrestling or your damn opinion about wrestling. My opinion is not life or death about wrestling. It's my damn opinion. So this whole notion of we got to get on Twitter and talk shit to people because they don't like the same thing I like, or because I don't like WWE because they didn't push my favorite back in the day, so I'm going to shit on them every single chance I get. When people point out that there's a problem with the IWC, maybe it's not everybody else. Maybe you need to take a look in the damn mirror. Maybe you need to look at yourself because maybe you're a part of the problem and not the solution. I get so sick and tired of seeing people online crapping on something, talking shit to wrestlers, and you don't have the courage to say it to their face because you know you'll get a mud hole stomped in your ass if you did. Talk shit, get hit. That used to be the thing that people used to say back in the day. Talk shit, get hit. Like, see, wrestling is a trip. But it's like, I just really wish people, Daniel, son, you don't have to listen then. Like you can do whatever you want to do. I'm a part of the show. I'm gonna talk shit. If my rants offend you, then you don't have to listen. Deuces. I'm gonna keep talking. Now I'm just gonna keep talking. So anyway, if you want to be an asshole, it's about time that people just let it sink through your head. You don't always have to be right. You don't always have to be right. That's the beauty of wrestling, is that it's not about right and wrong. It's about what we enjoy. If you enjoy something, enjoy it, hype it up, support it. And if you don't, shut the hell up about it. Or at least don't pretend that you know something about it when you're not even watching it. So I'm going to shut up now. If he comes back in the chat, don't block him. Let him do his thing. But my thing is, for people like you, Daniel, who don't want to hear my rant on something, maybe you might want to think about how you contribute to the IWC. Just saying. I mean, you know, maybe your toes got stepped on a little bit. Just maybe. I'm done.
Great points. And I'm going to say a few things. And this may come as a harsh reality to some people. First of all, when you decide to hit that send button on a tweet or on Facebook or on Instagram and get that opinion out there that apparently you think matters so much that you've got to do it, look and see how many people interact with you. Look and see how many likes you get on your opinions. Might be a little bit of a harsh slap in the face because there may not be a whole hell of a lot of people who give one damn what you say. I'm just saying. And this is why, and you can make fun of me and say, you're just an old man. Well, maybe I am. But this is why you cannot live your life on social media. You want to learn a lesson from me? Learn that one. Don't sit on social media 24/7. It will infect you. It will get in your head, and it will turn you into somebody you don't want to be. Are we on social media? Yes. I use it for marketing. We market the podcast. I put out when we're going to be on. I put out things in there about wrestling and stuff like that. So as content creators, you kind of have to. And I do it with my other show too. And I have sat on social media. I've done it. I went through a period of my life where I have. And let me tell you, it's not easy to pull yourself away from it. It's not. But man, you got to realize that there's more out there to life. You've got to realize what you're missing by staring at a device. And the things and it's funny, and this might sound stupid, but I was driving home the other night. And as I'm driving, I turn everything off. All I had was some music playing. And as I was driving, I'm just looking out my car window, and I'm looking out the side, and I'm looking at like the budding trees and stuff. It's springtime here, and I'm looking at the woods, and I'm thinking to myself, man, when I was a kid, we used to spend so much time like in the woods. We spent time in the backyard. We spent time in, we had friends. We would go and do stuff. We would go fishing. We'd do this. We'd do that. We'd be That kind of stuff isn't around anymore. And it's because of the phones and it's because of the tech. And I sell technology. I work in that field. So, guys, look, entertainment is great. It's great to be entertained and be positive. But if you find yourself in a situation where you are forcing yourself, for whatever the hell reason, to watch something on TV that you hate, take a step back and ask yourself, what in God's name am I doing? You've got to have 2 hours in your life that you can do something else that's going to make you happy. Rather than sit there and bitch and sit there and get pissed and then turn around and I'm going to go. And I had put that Triple H segment now 2 or 3 times out on our Twitter. Why do you think I do that? I continually put that out, and I love that. I'm going to go out and I'm going to send a tweet, or I'm going to send an Instagram, or I love that promo. Because honest to God, guys, that may be your way of emptying out your soul, but when it comes down to it, look at the amount of people who are liking your posts and realize to yourself, there may not be very many people who give a shit what you say. And I'm not saying there is for me either. Hey, hell, I stick a post out on Twitter about some random thing and I don't get a single like on a post. But you know what? Who cares? Who cares? You want to watch a really funny thing, and I'll end it here. There's a show on Netflix, not funny. It's a show on Netflix called Dark Mirror. There's an episode of that, or Black Mirror, Dark Mirror. There's an episode of that where there's a woman who goes around, and it's basically kind of a social media thing, and her whole life revolves around getting likes. Her whole life revolves around getting likes. She tries to act a certain way because she wants to get likes. She tries to do certain things with certain people. And when certain people don't give her a like or give her like a 5-star rating, she like flips out and like, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you like my post? Why didn't you give me a good rating? I don't understand. Like, what did I do? Don't end up like that. Because this stuff doesn't matter. People should like you for you, not if you're playing a character online. Not if you're bitching about something online. And just because you see, for those that are young in our chat, just because you see a group of people out there doing something doesn't mean that you should go and do it too. Be yourself. We're all individuals. Be yourself. Because you know what, guys? And I've said this to Jeff before. And I've said this to you guys before. Being negative is easy. Being an asshole is easy.
Very.
Being positive and being happy and friendly and stuff, that's not. You work for it.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep. So, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Joe. See, I feel, after this, I feel so much better.
I know, it's like a cleansing.
It's like a therapy session where, we can just let it all out. And normally, I feel bad because I curse a lot, but I had to. That's something I had to just get out because I got a lot of other stuff going on right now. My mind is in 1,000 places. This is like completely off topic, so I'm not trying to, put a damper on the evening or anything like that. But I just got my aunt is in the hospital, hasn't been doing well, and today, she was doing a little bit better, and then I just got a text that she's not doing well at all. Yeah. Her heart actually stopped twice today.
Oh boy.
And and it's just tough. So that's where my mind was, and I just got so pissed. But this is like therapy every week, and I hope that people understand that like, we're not trying to talk at you. We're sharing our feelings, and whatever you pull from that, you pull from it. If we like it, if it helps you, then great. If not, then it kind of is what, I mean, it is what it is. But take from it what you want. But at the end of the day, we do this because we care, and we want to be different. We're different. There are not many people out there doing what we do that will call people out on both sides. Like, if that's just what we do. That's just what we do. So, but yeah. And Daniel just said, why you time me out for stating my opinion? Listen, I'll take this one, Joe. If you don't like my rants, that's fine. But I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. I'm going to be here every single time our show is on. So if you don't like that, then you might want to rethink a couple things, because I'm going to be here. You don't have to like me. You don't have to like my rants. There are a lot of people that don't like me and don't like my rants. They pick up my Southern accent. They do a lot of things like that. You know what? I really don't care, because I love doing what I do. I love doing this. So, you know, that was kind of a shitty thing to say, like, this dude pisses me off with his rants, and you're on our show in our chat. So that's probably why you got blocked. So
yeah, and can I just say something too? I was the one who did it, and let me tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because you are doing exactly what we just talked about. You're coming in a show, right? Which is cool. You've been part of our stuff. Why would you come in the show and say that? Why would you feel the need to be in there and say, stop ranting, this rant sucks? Why would you feel the need to do that? Like, what possessed you to come in and to go into and you could feel that way, dude. You could feel that way. You could think that it sucks. That's perfectly fine. You're entitled to that opinion, but you don't have to go into the chat and type it out so that everyone now sees. To me, what were you trying to accomplish by doing that? Were you trying to get other people to say it too? That's why I timed you out. Because to me, that comes off as that you're trying to, and it's okay. You don't have to apologize, dude. Look, everybody makes mistakes. No one's perfect, right? No one's perfect. But that's why I'm just explaining to you why I timed you out. Because you're doing exactly what we just said. You're coming in and you're saying things that, well, this sucks. You're getting all mad in the chat. And there's no reason for it. If you don't like it, cool. But you don't have to come into a chat in a show and say, oh, this blows. You don't need to do that. That's all.
And you said I struck a nerve. Good. That's exactly what I was trying to do. So if it made you think just a tad, then good.
That's it.
All right, Joe.
Okay, then. Let's move on, shall we? The grievances are over, and we're moving on to Sell or No Sell. Oh, my gosh. Yes, but yeah, we're good. Let's just move on. Everybody is who they are. So let's just move on. All right. Topic number one. Oh, right off the bat, he gives it to me. Topic number one. The ending to Hemoglobin and Giblets isn't as bad as people say. Sell or no sell. I'm starting off this one because I'm going to let Jeff have a rest. I am no selling this. And here we go. I'm going to tell you why I'm no selling this, okay? This is the second straight big event done by this company that they completely botched an ending. Now, you may say, well, the rest of it was good, and I agree with you. The rest of it was good, okay? But we bang on Impact for technical shit. We do, because they get it wrong a lot. They mess up a lot. They screw up their streams. And then they have to give their pay-per-views away for free because they messed up the stream so bad. All right? What you do when you do something like this, it's like you have this nice, lovely boat going out on the water, right? And it's like a catamaran, and it's got this beautiful sail, and everything's going so well. And you see that, and the boat's sailing all nice and stuff, and then there's no wind. There's no wind. None. It's gone. The boat sits there. The ending of a show is a big thing, guys. Okay, you want to compare this to something? Look at a movie, right? I'm a big Star Wars fan. Look at a movie like Star Wars. You got this big whole thing, and then at the end, when they were supposed to blow up the Death Star, there's this big, huge explosion. At the end, you just see this little boop, and that's all you see on the screen. What are you going to remember? What are you going to remember? Are you going to remember all the cool shit that came before? Or are you going to remember how sucky that ending was? That's my question. And that's why I don't like this. This was a major technical botch. Okay? It was a major disaster to me. There's, and here's my points. Number one, don't have your announce team keep making it clear that it's concrete. Over and over and over again. It's concrete. It's steel. Don't keep having them do that. That's number one. Number two, fix the angle that it happened with. And it's not that hard. You could film it from a different angle. If you filmed it from the ground up instead of from the top down, it would have looked fine. If you filmed it from a wide angle instead of a small angle, it would have looked fine. But this, if you want to run with the big boys, and you want to be the second biggest company going, or you want to be the number one company going, you can't have this. And you can't have it over and over again. And this isn't, look, I enjoyed the match. As I said earlier, I did. But they got to get this stuff right. And I'm not saying this is everybody. I'm not saying that this was the athletes. I'm not saying it's on them, as it probably wasn't. It was probably someone in a production truck. But if that's the case, that comes from the top down, and they got to get that straight. They really do. They have to get that straight because it's and Conrad, it was how it was shot. I agree. But that kind of stuff, man, I can't overlook it, because now when I think to myself about this particular event, and I would go back and think about it, what's going to come to my head is a scene where there's a guy laying in stuff that was definitely padded foam painted to look like concrete. Painted to look like steel. That's what I'm going to remember. Yeah. So there you go. You're up, Jeff.
All right. So obviously we teased that we were going to be on opposite sides of this. So I love it. I'm going to sell it. Now, Joe brings up some great, valid points. There are a lot of crappy things that happen in that last sequence, and it's unfortunate because it was a hell of a night of wrestling. It was a hell of a night of wrestling. Mm-hmm. Having said that, and see, wrestling brings up they didn't even paint the bottom of the car.
Yeah, that's true.
The reason why I don't mind it, let me get the things that I hated about it, and then tell you why I ultimately didn't have a problem with any of them. The camera angle, that was the number one issue. By far and away, number one issue. There were so many different camera angles that you could have gone from that didn't show that view. It's almost like we're at a magic show, and you're sitting there and you see how the magic trick is done. I don't want to come to a magic show and see how you do the tricks. I just want to be mesmerized. And I feel like that angle gave away the reveal. That was the reveal. And then your commentary, And you got veteran guys that are on that commentary.
Yep.
You got to be able to switch up on the fly and be like, okay, this is the angle that we got. So instead of calling it concrete, because everybody sees it's not concrete, let's switch it up and say, oh my God, did you see how far Jericho fell from? And, all this stuff. And that's a better way to do it. But let's be honest. Did we really want to see him go through concrete or steel? Dude's 50 years old. I will give you a challenge right now. And please, the Insiders Wrestling Podcast is not liable if you choose to do this. I want you to go and just try to take a back bump on your carpet. Now, if you don't have carpet, do not do it. But just take a back bump, flat back on your carpet. Tell me how that feels. Now, I want you to think about how that would be from 12 to 16 feet up. I'm sorry, but as a person who's taken a lot of bumps over the years, right now, my back is all screwed up. I didn't take a bump quite like that. And he's been doing this for years. And yes, you're right, Azan, he would. Terry Funk would take a bump on real stuff. Terry Funk would take bumps anywhere. And he would have, not only that, but he would have done it on tax, which makes my draw right now. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. But, again, the only issue that I have with this, yes, Cheesewood says it hurts pretty bad. Conrad said Jeff owes me a new floor if I do this. This house is open. You might not want to do that. But yeah, I mean, the only thing that made this problematic is the camera angle. Let's be honest. Joe, if they shot this from the opposite direction, a wide lens, and all you see is Maxwell, because we can't say certain things. Yeah. You see Maxwell push him off, and you see him overlooking him. What would you have said about that ending?
No, I would have thought it was fantastic.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would have thought it was fantastic. I mean, and I said that was a magazine moment. Maxwell got a magazine moment. That if you had publication magazines going right now with the crimson mask that he had, his face would have been on the cover of that magazine with that picture of him up there standing over him, laying down at the bottom. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, most people, their perception of the entire show changed because of that one moment, and it's unfortunate because that was a camera issue. And then we got to see how the sausage was made, essentially, So we don't want to see that. That's what I feel like that moment, because people have focused on the camera work, that moment took away from an even bigger moment that was supposed to be for Maxwell, because that was his coming out party as his ascent to be the biggest heel in the business. Mm-hmm. Like, sorry, see, bad reference. but yeah, that was his moment to kind of stand tall, and for us to see there is a new heel and talent in the industry, and he's taken over. And I feel like a lot of people missed out on that because of where the focus ended up being. And you know what? Rightfully so. We'll be the first to tell you that Impact is probably our favorite promotion that we watch, especially since we do their watch-alongs. But we get in their crap when they have tech issues and all that stuff, and it's no different with any other company.
Correct, as the Miz would say. Yeah, you got to clean that stuff up. And see, that's the whole thing. If you want to, like I said, if your goal is to be in the upper echelon, your goal is to be on top, you got to clean up this small stuff. There's other things that companies do that are little things that kind of maybe go unnoticed and stuff like that, but they've got to clean up some of the small stuff. And until they do, they're not going to be over that hump. So, all right. Well, there you go. It was good to be the heel again. I enjoy doing that. Number 2, Impact should move on from relationship with an every Wednesday show. It's still weird.
It's so weird.
We had talked about this obviously a little bit earlier. We mentioned it with the whole Bully Ray thing. So Impact should move on from the relationship with them. Sell or no sell? Go ahead, Jeff. You could start.
I love it. I know that's some people may be like, oh, they shouldn't though. I think their primary focus should be on right now. Obviously, this can't happen because of their title being with who is with. So at the moment, you can't do it. But I think long term, I'd like to see them get away from that. I think pretty soon we'll see the benefits of the relationship. Because I think we're going to get more eyes on Impact. But I think long term, I want to see them work more closely with New Japan as opposed to the other company. And that's not to say I don't want to see some matchups between them and the other company. I do. I really do. But if we're going to have that relationship, I want it to be a mutual relationship. I want it to be a two-way street. And right now, it seems as though it's very one-sided. And while yes, Impact is reaping some benefits, I want to see more Impact stuff on Wednesday nights. I just do. I want to see some build up to some shows on Thursdays on Wednesday. So. That's just my opinion. That's where I think it should go. Give me now, especially now that the relationship has been patched up between Impact and New Japan. I'm great with that now. I want to see more of that, but yeah, I mean, just my opinion. Just my opinion. I'm gonna sell that.
Okay. The fan in me is gonna do this one. The fan in me says I'm gonna no sell it, and it's because I want to see how it plays out. Now I know you mentioned that too, Jeff, because there's still more to come.
Yeah,
I want to see how it plays out because honestly, this is the first time we've saw this kind of thing in forever, probably since the territories were around. So I just kind of want to see where it plays out. Now, do I agree with all your points? Yes. Do I agree with Bully Ray's point? Yes. Impact's not getting much from them. They're not. They're not talking about Impact on their show. They're not, Kenny's not coming out and saying, well, I took care of Rich Swann, and he's not mentioning anyone from Impact. So they're not. So I totally agree. They're just not. But I, as a fan, just want to see where it goes, because if it goes to more pay-per-views, bigger and better things, and we get bigger and better matches from this, and you're right, they are starting to form more of an alliance with New Japan. But I want to just hang out and see, and I may be willing to even go with this for an entire year, maybe past Slammiversary and maybe through like the fall, maybe until. And KD Window Cleaning mentions, I would love to see a few Impact women wrestlers go and wrestle at Dynamite. They're great. Should get more exposure. And he also said the pandemic most likely caused a delay on so many ideas and storylines. I think we get back to business here in the summer. I think it's going to be the fall, personally. I think the fall seems to be a jumping on point where everybody seems like they're going to go back to normal or semi-normal or as normal as they can get. But I'm willing to wait until then, and let's see where it goes. If Impact is not getting anything at that point down the road, and there's still nothing going on with them, nothing has been revealed, nothing's growing, then I'm jumping off. But for now, I'll stay on as a fan because I really want to see, and I'm really hoping to see that something will happen at that point. Because remember, Impact is still taping. They're still taping in front of no fans. They don't have so WWE is still taping. A lot of them are still taping. So until it gets away from that, let's, in my opinion anyway, is just hang out and see. So that's where I'm at with it. All right. What's next?
Oh no, this is a fun one right here, Joe. Raw was the best it's been since WrestleMania 37, sell or no sell.
Well, you guys all know how I banged on Raw for the past few shows. Yeah, I'll sell it. Sure. I love it. Yeah, I'll sell it. And again, this is kind of something that you get when you preach patience, right? Because we kind of all knew, regardless of where we knew it from, but reading on the dirt sheets, whatever the case might be, we kind of all figured that something was going on. If Braun Strowman is wrestling 3 matches in one night, there's something weird going on there. There's a reason why they're doing that. You don't see wrestlers do that ever. So they must be down people. And then it starts to go through your mind. And I saw people earlier in the chat saying, well, Conrad, I think, was talking to someone else in the chat about, well, where's Bray? Again, there must be something happening, right? And if it's COVID related, they can't talk about it. And a lot of this stuff that they don't talk about doesn't come to the forefront and doesn't even get in the dirt sheets because they can't talk about it. So it's a taboo thing. It can't be mentioned. And it looks as if people may have been starting to come back. We saw AJ and Omos come back. So now it looks like some of these people are kind of coming back in. They're filling in the show. And I think Big Dan mentioned Jason Jordan. I don't think personally we're going to see that come to fruition until after WrestleMania Backlash. I think it's going to end there. All these storylines are going to stop. They're getting banged on, and I banged on them too about rematches. Constant rematches. Rematch after rematch after rematch after rematch. I think that's going to come to an end. And I think after this Backlash is over, we're going to have all those rematches, and they're going to, me and Jeff kept talking about Raw being a reset button. Well, it wasn't. And it probably wasn't because of all this stuff going on, whatever that may be. And I don't want to speculate because I don't know. But I think now the reset button is going to be WrestleMania Backlash. And think about it. Why would they name it that? They always called it just Backlash. Now all of a sudden it's WrestleMania Backlash. The powers that be decided to name it WrestleMania Backlash because they want people thinking of WrestleMania and they want to think of it as maybe a jump off point. That's where I think it's going. And yes, I have to agree. It was a much more enjoyable Raw this past week. So what about you?
I love it. Obviously, I've been the person that's like, just hold on just a little bit longer, But I will say, Conrad brought up a good point earlier. While I don't think Raw is as bad as some people think it is or say that it is from time to time, I do think that a lot of us, particularly us that, were around during the Attitude Era and all that, we watch Raw out of habit, and being hopeful that this is going to be the week that everything clicks and it's going to be, it's going to be way different. This week for me, and so I forget who said it earlier, but the pacing, everything for me was a lot better this week. I felt like in some of the promos, it was less script and more, all right, do what you got to do. Kind of go out there and do your thing on the mic. I love the fact that they had Omos talk a little bit more this time around. I love seeing more and more of his personality come out every single time we see him on screen. It was just a better show this week. I mean, from beginning to end, I didn't feel like it was a chore watching it. I felt like it was pretty good from start to finish. We said this earlier. Keep us interested, advanced storylines, entertain us. I felt like you can say all of that about Raw from this past week. Let's see what happens in this Raw Women's Championship match now that Charlotte is a part of that. Let's see what happens since Lily said, since Alexa says that Lily, her favorite color is red. Let's see what happens there. Is it Sonya? Where are we going with that? The other thing that we saw is there was a tweet that was put out by Nikki Cross where she just so happened to be wearing a red outfit. So, I'm liking where this is going, but for the love of all things holy, and I'm not going to give anything away because, whatever, but where the heck is Bryan? We need him. And Conrad brought up another good point. After WrestleMania Backlash, I need to see some roster shakeups. I don't want to wait for a draft. I don't need a draft. At this point, WWE, you don't really stick by your draft anyway. So don't even pretend that you're doing a draft. Just show up on Monday night. So-and-so is going to SmackDown. So-and-so from SmackDown is coming over here. Don't waste my time with the draft because you never stick to it anyway. And then 3 weeks into it, you tell me that because of the wild card rule or whatever it is, this person's going to challenge this person in an open invitation. Like, don't do that to me this time. Just switch up some people on the roster, create a fresh start, and let's just have some fun.
You guys are all talking about someone in the chat. We may be going somewhere with that. So stick around. I know it's getting a little late. But stick around because we may have some stuff to talk about concerning that particular person that you are mentioning right now. Okay. All right. So there you go. There's our sell or no sell. We have our what to watch for segment. And yes, of course, and I said this earlier in our show, we have a big week coming up. Go home show after go home show after go home show. There is a go home show on Raw. There is you got a big NXT show on Tuesday with a lot of huge matches. You got a 3 title show for the Wednesday night show. You've got a go home show. There you see up there. Under Siege is this coming Saturday, which we will be bringing to you a watch along for on Saturday, May 15th. So don't miss that. That's got an amazing looking card already. So we've got a go home show for Impact. So that is this Thursday. So don't miss that. And then of course we have another go home show on SmackDown on Friday. And then we shall see what happens on Sunday. Is this going to be the end? And we got told last night that the Roman and Cesaro thing is the main event. They already announced that. They said that is the main event for WrestleMania Backlash. So, you know what usually happens in main events? You can get some screwy stuff going on. Do we see steps come down? Do we see, things going on there? Maybe. So I think there's going to be some interesting things to watch. And I think that you're going to see some things change. And I think that Raw following this next Monday is going to be a big one. I really do. Because they read their press, guys. They know what some of these people have said. And some of them were saying that was the worst Raw after WrestleMania that they've seen in a long, long time. And so they read their press. And I think they're going to want to wow people, and I think they will. So that man that you're all talking about in the chat, if there isn't some extenuating circumstance with him, which there could be, listen, Roman was out for a long time, and the big reason behind that was because he had young children at home, and he didn't want to get caught up with COVID, and that's a perfectly sane reason to do that. You're a family man first. And if he is protecting his kids, what can you say? You can't fault him for that. So if that's what it is, then you might want to get prepared, guys, because maybe we won't see him for a bit. You maybe won't see him until SummerSlam, or maybe when this starts to calm down. We don't know, because, again, they're not telling us, so we're just guessing. But if he is going to come back and he's ready to go, Monday would be the day I think that we'll see it. So, all right. So there's the what to watch for.
We got to debut this thing, right?
We do. Let's do it.
Here's what we're debuting here.
It's time for a new segment. It's time to book a wrestler. So we are going to play a little game. We won't spend a lot of time with this, but we're going to fantasy book a wrestler. And a lot of people like to get into this kind of stuff where, you kind of pick a guy, you kind of think, well, maybe he's not getting the shaft a little bit. Maybe he's not, not where we kind of think he should be. And what we want you guys to do in this segment is to play along. So our first one.
It's not.
Our first one. Wow. You guys sometimes lead us into segues, which I think is really funny.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Our first one is Bray Wyatt. We are going to fantasy book Bray Wyatt. So, you guys have all been talking about him. Where's Bray? Where's Bray? We don't know. The last time we saw him was in that Funhouse segment where he said he was starting over and there's going to be new friends, and there, he pushed Abby out the window. And he said, be gone. And he healed the other puppets. That was the last time we saw him. So we are going to fantasy book Bray Wyatt. So, I, for once, and I know that before I go into my thing here, Jeff had we kind of talked about this before, because believe it or not, we actually do plan things for the show. We don't go all off the skin of our teeth. We do plan. But Jeff and I talked about this a little bit. And Jeff kind of had a similar idea, right? And I had heard a guy who used to be a writer for wrestling was talking about how he would, book Bray Wyatt. He was asked an interview, and who I'm talking about is Vince Russo. Like him or not, listen, I know the dude had some bad times, but I don't know. It kind of seems like maybe he's away from the business now. He's not in the business anymore. He kind of does podcasts and stuff like that. But sometimes when you're reading his stuff, he comes up with good ideas. And I read this whole thing, and I'm like, you know what? Didn't sound half bad. And the way he came at it, and I'm not going to go into the whole story because you guys can go and read it yourself. But the gist of it is to bring him back as just Bray Wyatt. No Funhouse Bray. No, just Bray Wyatt. And you bring him back in a series of vignettes. No Funhouse. He's basically in a room, and they're either talking to him via an interview, or he's talking to maybe he's talking to like a therapist or something like that. And he's kind of just airing everything out. And he's saying, you know what? I was told that I had to do this. And I was told that I had to do all this with the Fiend and with everything else because Vince, or however he wants to play it, he told me that I needed to do this because they wanted me to have these wrestlers change their personalities, and they thought that this would be a good idea. So basically, to come out and to tell everybody what the idea was behind all of this, to tell the truth, to come out and to just put his whole heart on the table. And they said these vignettes could go on for 4 weeks, whatever the case might be. And he could give a little segment every week, kind of like Aleister Black is doing, and come out and say all this stuff, right? And he kind of bears his soul. And now he's just back as Bray Wyatt. He's just Bray Wyatt. And then he has a match, right? Whoever they put him up against, he has a match. And then, yes, because Vince is the devil is on. Yes, exactly, right? Because good call. And then he has a match against whoever the case might be. And they're wrestling, and it looks as if Bray is going to win. Lights go down. Red light comes on. Bray gets attacked by the Fiend. Now, obviously, it won't be the Fiend. It won't be, it won't be him. It'll be someone else. And I'm not saying that it's going to be someone else. I'm not going to say it's Bo or it's anybody else that's going to play him. But if you want to get this story back going again and you want to move on and keep this story going, this is kind of how I think I would do it. And credit to Vince Russo, because he was the one who kind of said it. And, pretty much, this is how he said he would do it. And I fully agree. I think this is cool. And I think this would get the whole thing kick-started again, because now you don't know. Now you're thinking, well, this guy came out and he told us everything that was going on, and he bared his soul and told everybody what they were doing. And now he comes out, and now the Fiend attacks him. You can go in any different directions with it. You can have, if you're going to do the Fiend against Bray, a lot of people kind of assumed that was, Vince Russo was the one who said, he mentioned bringing Bo Dallas back, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think that they would just get someone, some wrestler that they had backstage that maybe looked or was kind of built like Bray to do it. But I think it's cool. And Jeff and I talked beforehand, and go ahead, Jeff, because you, I think, had something kind of similar. But I think if you want to bring him back and you want to get him back up to the top and you want to get him back to where we all want to see him, I just think it's a good way to do it. Because, boy, what better way? How did Stone Cold Steve Austin make his living, man? He made his living off of Vince McMahon, and he had Vince McMahon being, like you guys said in chat, the devil Vince, right? And if he comes out, boy, does he look like a big baby face now, because I was forced to do this. I didn't want to do it. I was forced to do it. It was my job, and I had to do it. Wow, do you get a lot of baby face cred if you go ahead and do stuff like that. So go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think what we need is kind of a reset, not only for Bray Wyatt, but for fans as well. Because, for those of us who love him and rock with him, we're always going to do that. Like, whether he takes off, another 3 or 4 months, or whether he's back on Monday night, we're always going to rock with him. But if you're the casual fan, why do you care about him right now? And let's just ask the question. Now, that's not how I feel. I've had conversations with people like, okay, tell me where you are on Bray Wyatt. And they say, I just don't care. And I said, well, what would make you care right now? I got to see something different. Okay, so you want to see something different. What was one of the greatest things that we saw with this character that was hilarious? We saw him in a therapist's office as So I would love to see him, like Joe said, over the next maybe 3-4 weeks in his therapy sessions. And I want to see him do the whole gamut, like run the whole gamut. I want him looking at images and saying, I see Vince in this image. I see the Fiend. I see Lily. I see Alexa. I see all these things. And then we get a big reveal at the end of the entire story of why he ended up doing the things that he did. This could also, and this is what I told Joe, if you really want this to make sense and tie this all in, if Devil Vince had the controls of him the entire time, you explain away the Goldberg loss immediately.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that makes sense. And it's just, again, you're taking a new twist to this story, because I think for right now, the Fiend needs to the Fiend needs to take a backseat for a little bit. And we should get that when we least expect it. Like, things like normal. It should look like A Nightmare on Elm Street at the very end, when we think everything is sunshine and beautiful and everybody's back to normal, and then we get that dream sequence again. That's kind of what I want to see from this character. But in order to get there, I want to see something a little bit different. If you watch Abby's Window, a lot of people know, and they think I've kind of been joking around about this. I want to see an evangelist type character because he kind of gave us that the last time we saw him. He was talking about you're going to see a new character. You're going to see all of these different things. I would disagree with that, but obviously Billy saying the second you do that, you devalue Alexa, Seth, Finn. You claim Vince hates all these people. This entire story would be twisted or on a backseat. It will die instant. I see. My thing is this. I think with where we are right now, it kind of runs the risk of doing that with people that aren't hardcore fans of his. Like I'll say this. This isn't us saying we're not into him. This is just how would you book him to get more people interested right now? And I think the biggest thing that we have to do is say, okay, what's something that people love? People loved Eater of Worlds Bray. They love that. They love Bray Wyatt. They love his promo style. The Fiend stuff is, for people like me and Joe and Jody and C Wrestling and a lot of you in here, James Grant, I'm going to miss people. But the Fiend stuff is like a treasure trove for us because there's just so much to sink your teeth into. But again, it's not for everybody. So how do we bring more people along? I think you almost have to bait and switch people at this point. You have to get them thinking, oh, well, Bray's back now. Here we go. And then as soon as you get people in, bam.
And Billy, to your point, I don't think that he devalues any of that because that's all going to get explained off in these vignettes. Because he's going to turn around and he's going to say that Vince wanted me to take out Finn Balor because he wanted him in the other show. He's coming out and he's going to tell the truth. He wanted me to take out Seth because at that time I was on top of the world. He wanted me to be on top, and he's going to come out and he's going to tell the truth. He wanted me to take out Seth because he wanted to change Seth Rollins. And Alexa, he can really be bitter about Alexa and come out and say, hell, he gave Alexa my gimmick. Alexa now stole my gimmick, and she's now going and doing that. So that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to devalue it because I think he's going to come out and he's going to seem, even if it's not, he's going to seem like he's telling the truth about all of this. And like I said, wow, man, would you create a babyface? You would then create a guy who has been having his strings pulled the entire time. And also, if you're having him in this, like Jeff said, going to these visits on the therapist and stuff like that, then obviously the dude has some issues. And we always go back to Split with Bray. And in that movie Split, he was visiting his therapist all the time. So you kind of felt bad for the dude. And that's what you'd build with this. Everybody would be like, oh my God. And like Jeff said, well, now I get it. Now I get why Goldie lost. Now I get it. This was all Vince's idea.
And the other part of this too is that, don't close your mind off to this, but think about this for a minute. You brought up a good point in talking about Finn and everyone else. What if Devil Vince's motivation behind this is not because he hates them, but because Devil Vince listens to the naysayers in the WWE universe? Because let's be honest, people were getting stale on Seth Rollins at that time. They were getting stale on Finn Balor. They were getting stale on Alexa Bliss. And he's literally the change agent for Devil Vince McMahon.
Yep.
That's the point where it doesn't devalue them. I get what you're saying, but that's the point where it doesn't devalue them. you can very easily take this story and add in some twists and turns there and tie it all back where it all makes sense. It's just a matter of interweaving these different things and doing something that's fresh for people that have kind of fallen out of it. So,
Azan, how do you explain the Miz? Well, see, that would accomplish. I mean, they're not going to probably go back and explain off every single thing because that would be tough to do. But I mean, and WWE thinks that we forget about stuff anyway. But if you want to explain something like that, you have him say, you know what? I got so upset with this that I actually went and stalked the Miz's house, and have him just admit that he did that. Just say, hey, I went off the bandwagon with that. Like this made me so upset and it just kind of cracked me. And I went and I did that whole thing with, oh my God, like I put this doll in a baby's crib, and have him come out and openly admit that and say, but see what we're saying is you're getting a different way to look at this. You're vilifying someone else who he already has vilified in a puppet form. So you're playing on that. You're playing on that he had his strings pulled. Yes, he was a demon, but he still had his strings being pulled by what is now a bigger demon. And you're vilifying that demon even more. That's what we're saying. And I just think it's an interesting perspective, and I think it would be a good way to just bring this all back around and kind of start that thing back up again. And that's what we're looking to do. That's what we were looking to do in the segment. So yeah. Conrad says, interesting perspectives. Thank you. And thank you to all who listened. It's fun to do. It really is. And if you guys want to do it, please feel free. I know you're listening intently and stuff during the chat, but if you want to do it, put in the comments below the video tonight how you would do it. Put in the comments below. I promise I look at all the comments. I know Jeff does too. We try to comment on it. Put your comments into the comments on the video and tell us how you would do it. We all love the man. We all love the wrestler. We think he's fantastic, and he's a great storyteller, and he's intelligent. And all we want to do is we want to see him back. So if the reason he's away is, like I said earlier, because he's protecting his family from something, well, that's a whole different story. And there's nothing that's going to get around that. He's going to come back when he's damn good and ready. And that's exactly like Roman did. And that's fine. But if it's because they kind of don't know what to do with him now, that's why we kind of went in this particular direction. So Trex Edie says, I think that would work as an end game for the Fiend, because one problem, where do you go after the story is told? Very interesting. Bliss fan says Fiend and Orton. Bliss fan, I hate to really be a downer with that. Randy Orton is done with him. It's plain and simple. Randy Orton is with Riddle now, and that they're already saying that they're going to get pushed. They're saying that's going to be a big push. So Randy isn't going to be with Bray in anytime soon. So if they go back to that, I don't think it's coming for a while. I really don't. I think Randy's stepped away from it, and I think they're going away from that angle. So I'm sorry to say, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying I'm right because I don't know what's going on, but I really think that they're stepping away from the Randy Orton thing. So, well, there it is. That's our first episode of that. We're going to do this, and we know we've had you late, but I appreciate you guys staying. Go ahead, Jeff.
Before we move on, again, this is all hypotheticals and what ifs, and we're just doing this. Rusty asked the question, what about the attacks on Foley, Angle, and Lawler? Here's my take on that. There's a segment of fans that absolutely love it. And then you get those fans who say, why do they always bring back these legends? I am so tired of these legends. Like, get them off my screen. And there were people that were actively rooting for the Fiend to come out and do exactly what he did. And this could all be listening to some of the fans saying, you know what, get these folks off of our screen. Why are they here? We don't really want to see them. Now, obviously, that's not the way that all of us feel. Some people may feel that way, and that's fine. But I would say that could be explained away by saying, you know what, he was listening to some of the fans that didn't want them there, and he wanted me to make sure that they didn't have a pleasant experience while returning because some people really don't want them there, or maybe they're getting in the way of what my ultimate mission is. Something along those lines.
Yeah, and you know it's ironic. They have an interview out there with Kurt Angle, and it's recent too. And Kurt Angle was saying about how that scared the crap out of his children when Bray attacked him. He's saying he came out in an interview and said that his children were literally terrified, and like his wife called him and said, "Why did he attack you? Like, oh my God, why did he attack?" You could play on that. You could play on that. And then they also interviewed Randy as well and asked him the same question. They're like, well, how does it? And then Randy turned around and said, you know, well, first of all, my 4-year-old is way too young to understand it. So, and then he said, and my boys, he goes, they had no problem because they met Bray. Bray was one of the first wrestlers they ever met, and they loved Bray. See what I'm saying? Like, you can play on this kind of stuff. And perception becomes reality, and reality becomes perception, and it all kind of goes around. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool stuff.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, we're going to do that every week. So we're going to pick another wrestler. Now, again, I know we've had you late, and I apologize. We had a lot of stuff to cover, a new segment and this and that. So we're going to go into favorite moments, and then we're going to go into lighter side, and we're going to get you guys out of here because I know it is late. I appreciate you guys sticking with us. I know we've been on for a while. We had a lot of stuff to cover, really did. And, you know, next week, I know we say that all the time, but we'll try to make sure that we get you out of here at a little bit of a better time. But anyway, so let's go on to our favorite moments of the week. You guys can shout yours out. Now your thoughts on the Axe WCW storyline. You DM'd us an Axe WCW.
Oh my God, that's all I'm going to say because that is crazy.
I'll have to take a look at that. I couldn't look at it from the thing, but I'll have to take a look at it.
We're going to have to talk about that next week, Joe. Just saying.
Oh, okay. I'll have to read that. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. We might have a perfect topic for next week's already. There you go. Cool. Okay. Top 3. Here we go. Shout out your favorite moments of this week in wrestling. And let's start. Go ahead, Jeff. Number 3.
All right, man. My number 3 moment of this week. Seeing ELP on Impact. That was such a great, moment seeing him there. It was fun, you know, it was just fun. So you know, he's definitely a heel. He did his heelish things. I'm sorry, like if we weren't already at 11:18, I'd love to talk about it, but we want to get folks out here. But
yeah, I hate to keep you. I know a lot of you guys are overseas, including C. I don't want to keep you for longer than we have to. But yeah, we appreciate it. We'll definitely go over that. We'll make it a part of next week's show. For sure. So
all right, yeah, that's my number 3.
You're a 3 in my 3 match. Maybe for different reasons. But yeah, I'm always excited to see new people, and this is a guy that I've never seen before. So this is my first chance to see ELP, and I love the style. It was different. Something you don't always see in wrestling is different styles and stuff like that. And when I saw how he entered the ring, the acrobatics and stuff that he had, the moves that he did, I like you're going to sleep, yeah. I mean, when he stepped on the dude's crotch in the corner of the ring, I was like, what's he doing? But I'm excited. I'm excited that he's back next week. And it looks as if he's going to be a part of their X division, which is really cool. I was kind of wondering if it was going to be a one-off or if they were going to continue it. Well, it obviously looks like they're going to continue it. And yeah, VSK as well was very impressive in the match. So, yeah, I enjoyed it, and I hope we get to see more from him. It was exciting that we heard about it, and it was exciting for me to see someone brand new. So that is my number 3 as well. Go ahead, Jeff. What's your number 2?
Number 2, we might actually be the same on all of these, but hope not. Number 2, Cameron freaking Grimes.
No.
Like, dude, it's just so. I'm loving this right now. Loving the tie-ins with Ted DiBiase. I kind of feel like someone listened to our show because we mentioned that before it happened, and then all of a sudden it happened. Obviously, I'm teasing, but I just love this. So, yeah, that's my number 2.
My number 2, and while I love Cameron Grimes too, my number 2 is we have Alexa going with puppets. And Lily's going around backstage. Where have I heard that before? And we're starting to kind of see a story develop. So where is Lily going to show up? We see got his puppet watch back. And she's in the hallway and she's looking at people now. Is it Sonya Deville? Obviously, there is some beef from Sonya Deville and Alexa when Sonya took her out backstage. So where is it going? I think it's cool that it's back. And obviously, even though Bray isn't around, the thing lives on through Alexa because obviously it looks as if she's doing very similar things. And if it ends up leading to her feuding with someone who is going to be picked out by Lily, then maybe this is all going to be very similar to what Bray did, and people who wronged him are the people that she is going to go after, the people who wronged her. So I think it's cool. And wherever Bray is, if she's kind of taking over now in that role, then I think it's cool. And, you know, seeing the puppet now backstage and stuff like that, of course, it's going to bring back memories of Bray and how he used to do it as well. So that's my number 2. I think it was really cool that they finally started that, and it looks as if that storyline is going to get something. We're going to get something. And if she's going to attack Sonya Deville, maybe it comes at Backlash. And maybe it happens during a point where Sonya's in the ring for whatever reason or something like that. The lights go out and something happens. So, and that could be something too, guys. We may get a different look for her. She may have a mask. She may, as they were talking about, remember how that leaked out that she was going to wear a mask, and all of a sudden, well, no, now she's not wearing a mask anymore. They tend to do that, guys. Remember how I said a couple times that the dirt sheets sometimes do tend to be right, but it's like months later? Well, there you go. So that's my number 2. What's your number 1, dude?
Number 1, and I'll make it quick because we talked about it a little bit earlier. SmackDown. Throwback SmackDown was great. Obviously, seeing Jimmy Uso return was amazing. But we hyped this guy up a lot. Seeing Cesaro get that victory over Seth Rollins. Then ending the show standing tall, wrecking shop. That's what I need to see from Cesaro. Cesaro in ring has always been that caliber. His in-ring work has always been main event worthy. They just had to give him the chance to get everything together, give him a chance to be himself. And that's what I think they're doing. They're letting him be himself. And it's working. And maybe he doesn't win the championship next Sunday. Maybe he does. But all I know is I am so happy for Cesaro that he is in a main event championship match on a pay-per-view. That's my number 1.
Absolutely. My number 1, I have a flat foot tie. I have a tie between Throwback SmackDown because I'm a throwback dude and I just always love throwback stuff. And I love seeing that stuff. And even though there weren't legends there, you got to see Teddy Long. You got to see Hacksaw Jim Duggan in that ice cream commercial. You got to see the other commercials. You got to see the screen. You got to see McAfee in an old Vince blazer. I dig that stuff, man. And yes, the return of Jimmy Uso and everything that went along with SmackDown, I love. The tie, though, I got to give it where it's due. Hemoglobin and giblets. Look, it was fun, man. It was a fun match. It really was. I enjoyed it. I did. I liked it. Maybe that's sacrilege to some people. I don't know. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I had a fun time. I had a good, I had a Wednesday where I could actually sit back and I could watch it. Ico Pro, yes, that was great too. But I could sit back and I could watch it, and it was cool, and I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought the match was great. Of course, it's like a war game style thing, and it's different, and I loved it. I really did. So they are my number one moments of the week. Very unusual match to see on a non-pay-per-view show, which was cool. And then the throwback SmackDown, which I'm all for. Any throwback thing you ever want to do, you throw some of that my way, I'm gonna love it every time out. So Pepsi Blue, oh God, is it really? Dude, I love Pepsi Blue. Did they make that again? Yeah, it's like raspberry Sunny. It's like a raspberry flavored Pepsi, I think. Oh, dude, I'm gonna have to.
You remember the clear, the crystal?
Yes, I do. I remember the clear. Yeah, the clear Pepsi. Yeah, that was weird. It's like you were drinking water, but it tasted like Pepsi.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, all right, guys. There you go. We are at the lighter side of wrestling. The lighter side of the ring is our final segment before Jessie Calynn warms up. And I know Jessie said she's almost home. So we'll talk about this. Well, this is fun. The lighter side of the ring is our segment that leads into Jessie Calynn giving us some jokes and ending our night. And again, I'll say I appreciate those of you who stuck around. I know we've gone long. We've been on for about 2.5 hours now, so I appreciate everybody who stuck around. And thanks for giving us your moments of the week. John Cena Gamer 0809 says Alexa Playground. Jason Michael says the ice cream commercial. Ico Pro says Will Jack's effect. Does Ico Pro even exist? I don't know. That's a good question. It maybe it might. I don't know. In between Wi-Fi's right now for about the next 5 to 10 minutes, says Jessie. Oh, we gotta. Okay. Well, we'll talk about lighter side of the ring, and we're talking about RK Bro. Look. Riddle was in a thing where we didn't know where he was going. He held the title for a little bit, and then, he got beat by Sheamus, and then we're like, well, what the hell are they going to do with this guy? And the last thing you would have thought was team up with Randy Orton, of all people, who you would think would hate this guy beyond belief, but it works. It works. It almost kind of reminds me of the Daniel Bryan and Kane thing, where it's just like one guy seems to just get on the other's nerves all of the time. But man, I think it works. And I think this is going to be great. I don't know how they're going to keep playing this out, but I think this is going to be great. And if they're going to shoot this and they're going to push this and they're going to end up maybe with the titles at some point, I dig it. And I think it's funny. What a goofy pairing this is. And whoever would have guessed that, again, you want to talk about shocker, like 6 months ago, would you have said that Randy Orton coming off the whole thing with Bray is going to team up with Riddle? It would have been the last thing anyone ever would have thought. So I don't know. I think it's great. I think it's fun, and I think it's going to be a funny thing. Like, you could just see when Riddle comes in the ring, if you watch really well, and Randy's already in there, and Riddle comes in the ring and does this goofy thing with the birds flying out of his butt, Randy just stands there. And you could almost kind of see like a look of kind of like detest in Randy's face when he's out there, which, I mean, Randy's just so good at doing that kind of stuff. So I think it's great. I lost it when Riddle came by on his scooter, says Conrad. Yeah, I think it's great. I really do. I think it's going to be funny as long as they let them go. And I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, this, honestly, I'm so glad that this is happening now in Randy's career, because let's think about 5 years ago. Randy Orton would have never done anything like that. Period. Like, he would have never done anything like this. So for him to be working with Riddle is pretty cool. It allows us to see a different side of Randy. And it's almost like you know that you don't like someone, or that it really like rubs you the wrong way, but damn, they're funny. Like, this dude is like, Riddle is so ridiculous. And it's like, well, I mean, we made this thing work one time. We made it work a second time. I mean, where can we go? Now, what would really be cool and then I'll stop talking about Bray, even though I love him. We do know that Ramblin' Rabbit had an encounter with Riddle. Could this all go full circle? I feel like at some point we're going to get a turn from someone. I think it's going to be Randy. Other people, I know Azan shouted it out in a DM. He said he thinks Riddle's going to turn because of the interaction with the Rabbit. So we'll see. But for right now, I am really enjoying RK Bro. It's funny. It's a perfect mix of funny and Randy trying to hold his crap together because he's trying his best not to break. And Riddle's just going to break him down one day. It's just going to happen. Where he's going to make him laugh and, all of us are going to enjoy it. But I'm really liking this right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it too. It reminds me of like older films as well, like older movies where you get these kind of like buddy, but like almost like buddy movies, like buddy cop movies. Yes. Yeah. I mean, you had Lethal Weapon where you had the one guy who was serious and the other guy was a complete nut. And you get that a lot. So that it kind of reminds me of that kind of thing too, where one guy's just the one that's pesky and gets on the other one's nerves. And you just laugh at it because the one, you could just tell the other guy is just like, oh my God, just get this guy away from me. I can't take it. And man, what a role for Randy to play. What a role for Randy to play. And like Jeff said, 5 years ago, there's no way in hell. If somebody would have approached him about this, he'd been like, absolutely freaking not. No way I'm doing it. So kudos to Randy because obviously Randy sees something in Riddle, and he's trying to kind of help him out here with it. So kudos to him as well. I mean, Randy's just a professional. That's what he is. He's just a professional guy. He's at the point in his career now where he's won so many titles. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he knows it. And he's at the point now where he could just be like, you know what, this is who I see that impresses me, and I'm just going to help these guys out. So, and look, regardless of how it ended, he did it with Bray too. So, yeah. All right. Well, Jesse, are you around yet? Have you got in between Wi-Fis? If not, we'll hang out. I think she said she had 4 jokes. We'll hang out for a few more minutes. In the meantime, we'll reiterate our schedule. We'll talk about what we got coming up. So, obviously on Monday we will have, hopefully Jody will be back and we will have an episode of Abby's Window, which they will talk about everything that is going on with, obviously we haven't seen Bray, so not much to talk about on that front, but I'm sure Jody and Jeff will touch on all the stuff that is going on with Alexa at the moment on Monday Night Raw and what they think, or maybe what some theories are that they have come up with for who Alexa is going to go after. Is it going to be Sonya? Is it going to be Charlotte? Is it going to be someone else maybe that she's eyeing for that attack from her Lily persona? So they will be here on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you join them for that and discuss all things Bray Wyatt. Because you know what, guys? Even though Bray's not around, he still gets talked about. There's still a show every week that we have about him. C Wrestling's channel still talks about him as well. So there's always places to go if you are a Bray Wyatt fan, because we will obviously keep on talking about him no matter what. Thursday, okay, thank you, Jesse. We'll get right to you. Thursday, of course, we have Impact. That is a go-home show. So we will be doing Impact Wrestling, 7 o'clock p.m. Standard Time, Eastern Standard Time start, and then we'll have our After the Impact show as well to discuss everything that happened on that show and what we think is going to go into Under Siege on Saturday. And then, of course, on Saturday, we have Under Siege, the watch-along. So we will be here for that starting at 7:30. Hopefully Tazzy will join us, and we will do the Under Siege watch-along, which should be very interesting. And then we'll be back on Sunday for WrestleMania Backlash. So don't forget to join us for all of that. If you are new to the channel, please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. And obviously hit the notifications to let you know exactly when we're going to be on. Hit the like on the video tonight before you leave. And if you want to, tell us how you would book Bray Wyatt. Put it in the comments below. We'd love to read it. Let us know. Just saying, if you watch my theory video today, it could be Randy. Everything fits. Unlikely, but yeah, well, you know, like I said, we never know. We never know because none of us are backstage on WWE as much as maybe we'd like to be. But if we were, we wouldn't be able to say crap anyway because we'd lose our jobs. Yeah, look, we never know. We don't know. And that's the fun of it. So, all right, here we go. Jesse, you're up. We are ready and waiting for you to go. Maybe Bray's just allowing Alexa to build her story without taking her spotlight. Could very well be. Could very well be. What's going to happen to Drew versus Lashley? I'm not sure. I think Bobby's going to win, and I think Drew's going to go on to a program with maybe Braun. Yeah. Or maybe something else.
Well,
all right, Jesse.
Big return next Sunday. Just saying.
Yeah, that could be. We might see some people come back. Very true. Did you hear about Willie Nelson and RVD starting a business together? It was fine at first, and then everything went to pot. Oh, nice. All right. I got 4 jokes, says Jesse. But first, oh, no. C says, oh, Jesse, is this where I tell your jokes you told me a few days ago? Oh, no. Is he going to spoil your jokes?
Spoiler.
Danny Barron says, Jeff, you saw my comment.
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah, what's going to happen to Drew and Lashley? Raw got to do something big. Can Jinder Mahal in the stable? That's another good point. You might see Jinder coming. Yeah, you might see him in. And the stable coming up. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad call up either. I wouldn't mind that. Jesse saying this is for Joe. What Jesse is doing there is the Tasmanian Devil. We kind of get. I mean, Tazzy. It just comes out. But that's the whole Tasmanian Devil. And if you've ever watched the cartoon with Bugs Bunny, the Tasmanian Devil is hilarious. And he does that where he goes, blah, 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 and he sticks his tongue out and does that. So that's what Jesse's talking. That's awesome. That's funny. I love it. I love the Tasmanian Devil.
Did you see John Cena Gamer 0809, his joke?
What do you call, oops, there it goes. What do you call a deer with no eyes? No idea. That's good. That's good. I like it. That's good. There you go. Oh, all right. Jesse said the jokes is that I haven't timed you out yet. I can't spoil her jokes. They're already rotten. Oh, now see. Now we're getting into it. Now we're getting into it. Bad jokes. Just bad jokes.
Oh, here we go.
What did Joe tell the dummy? Don't fall through the holes. Get it? Oh, God. Poor Nia Jax. Maho. All right, here we go. Number 1. This dude told me my wife left me for a guy from India. I know he's going to treat her well. They worship cows.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. Jesse's got some nasty jokes tonight. She's getting a little nasty. Nasty.
Okay.
Nasty. Nice. All right. That was great. I loved it. I meant to share that last joke. Oh, well. Oh, man. That's funny, dude. I loved it. That was great. Oh, gosh. Wow, what a show. We had so much to talk about. It's insane.
So much.
Don't forget, guys, to watch those biographies. They are really good, except for the Macho Man one, which we had said. But if you haven't seen them, they are really good. And Booker T is tomorrow night. And then also, don't forget, Dark Side of the Ring started back up, too. So if you haven't seen the Brian Pillman episode, it is out there. So make sure you check that out, too. Today, a man knocked on my door and asked for a donation for the neighborhood pool. I gave him a glass of water. Oh. Yeah, okay, you're 2 for 2. I like both of them. Yeah, I like them both. Very good so far. Conrad says, fun show. Thanks, dude. Really appreciate that. And Conrad, of course, joined us on Impact last week. So, yeah, thank you for that as well.
We're going to have that happen again sometime.
Yeah, it's always fun to work with other people. Joe, you say, wow, what a show. Get ready for Saturday and Sunday. Oh, I know, Jeff. Yeah, dude, we have a big week coming.
Yeah.
We have a big week coming up. The WWE Most Wanted Treasure Series. Yeah, that's cool too. If you like artifacts and stuff like that, things like collectors type things, and things that you can see the wrestlers are going to try to get for the for WWE. Yeah, it's a pretty cool show. I watched a few of them. Number 3. Jeff Samuel said Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, that's a good thought. Obviously tomorrow, is Mom's Day. So to anyone in our community, Happy Mother's Day, of course, to all of your moms. Any of the women in our community who are moms, of course, Happy Mother's Day to you as well. Yes, definitely, great thought. Number 3, Buddy told me his wife asked him to pass her lipstick. He accidentally passed her a glue stick. She's still not talking to him. Clever, very clever. Should save the planet and not waste water. Just saying, Jesse. That's the middle-aged Karens and now environmentalist you've annoyed. Oh man, Jesse, see, you made it when you have a heckler, and you've got your own heckler now. As a comedian, that's like your goal. When you start to be a comedian, when you get heckled, you've made it. So there you go. Conrad's getting into the act. Want to hear a roof joke? The first one's on the house. Are you doing a WrestleMania bow? Yeah, I guess we are. Thank you for reminding us. Yeah, Jesus, I would have forgot all. I would have forgot all about that. But yeah, thank you for. Yeah, we have to. Yeah,
and
we will.
We'll do Under Siege like we did Rebellion. We'll do some predictions on After the Impact.
Yeah. So we'll have our Under Siege predictions on our After the Impact show. And then, yes, we will have to do a prediction show after SmackDown on Friday. Yes, thank you, Big Dan. Yeah, I would have totally forgot about that. But yeah, we will. The legendary Firefly Revolution has something to... Where is it? Oh, God. You're making me really...
It's not a joke. It's...
Oh, people really thought the Fiend would beat Goldberg. Oh, God. Phone just totally kicked me off YouTube. Here's the last one. Here it goes. They laughed at my crayon drawing. Now I'm laughing at their chalk outline. Ooh, that's almost psychotic. That's very deep. Oh, C Wrestling says, don't worry about saying Jesus, Joe. It's not like you blasphemed the Messiah, Seth Rollins. It's fine. C had a thing about getting a stained glass window put in his house. Like, look, that looks like the background for Seth Rollins. But he said he couldn't do it because it would bother his neighbors with the colors. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if somebody got like the actual stained glass? Oh, man, people would be up in arms. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Ring the police. Jesse admitted murder. She did. All right, guys. That is it. We've been on late. We understand. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for being here tonight. It was a lot of fun. We went through some things. We talked over quite a bit of stuff, and we hope that you had a good time being here with us as well. Like I said, make sure you hit the like button before you leave. Send us some comments about how you think that Bray Wyatt should be booked, how they should bring Bray back if indeed he is kind of waiting in the wings and not really kind of sure about where he should go. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear it. And I'd love, of course, like I said, we comment on all of the comments that we get. So go ahead and do that if you're so inclined.
Let us know who you want to see us do that with next.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. In fact, you know what? I'll put that on Twitter. We're gonna go over what C sent us, the Eric Bischoff thing. We'll talk about that on our next show. So that'll definitely be in there. But yeah, let us know who you want us to book next. Let us know what the wrestler. I'll throw that out on Twitter, and you guys can just post away on the post on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, obviously, then of course comment on the in the comment section of the show and let us know that too. So. Very cool. So that's it, guys. We are done. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already done so. Remember to hit the like on the video if you haven't done that already. And also remember to put the notifications on if you are so inclined and you want to find out what we are going to do next. That's it, guys. Thank you for being with us. We really appreciate it. And we are out of here. So from Jeff and myself, have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your night. Guys, take a break from social media sometimes. Seriously. Go out, take a deep breath, look at the trees, look at the just do it from time to time. It's just good. It's just good to get out of it for a while because it really can play on you. Trust me, it did to me. So I'm talking from experience. 3-4 years ago. So get out and enjoy. Don't always spend your all your waking moments on social media. Have a good night and enjoy it. Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the moms. And as we always say, stay safe. And hopefully we will see you all on Monday for Abby's Window. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.